I wish I knew how to quit you.
Then why don't you?
You're listening to Codependent Content, the podcast where we discuss the TV shows, movies, books, and video games in which we share an unhealthy relationship.
But among my many functions, I am a clock. I am the clock for every Cleon's life, and the time I keep is exact.
My name is Mattias. Join us as we try to unravel the characters, stories, and worlds that we are entangled with. Because just when we think we're done with content, it draws us back in. Let's get this over with.
Murder this shit, dude.
Hey, Morgan.
Hey, Mattias.
Hey, Codependent Content.
Hi, Codependent
That's
Content.
you. It's you guys. Thanks for being here. My name is Mattias.
Hi, I'm Morgan.
And today we are talking about Foundation, Season 3, Episode 2, Shadows and the Math. It's become abundantly clear to me, Morgan, that no one is watching the show.
And it makes me sad.
Based on the analytics, no, everyone's one of the most viral clips so far from last week's episode has been mostly, I think, viral because half the people are like, what movie is this? What is this?
Yeah.
What movie is this? Like, it's in the description, but that aside, it's Foundation. We're talking about Foundation, a sci-fi Isaac Asimov thing. Also, the other half of the people are mad at us because we haven't read the books. So just when I thought, Morgan, we pissed off the Last of Us fans.
Yeah.
Fans. I pissed off Formula One fans.
Yeah.
And just when I thought, surely, Morgan, I'm going to be able to talk about something and people won't be jerks on the internet because no one's watching it anyway, right? No one cares. No, people care, Morgan. Yeah. And it's the people who have read the original books and they are so mad at us.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. They're mad at the show. They're not mad at us. We haven't pissed off them yet, but they are kind of pissed off.
They are. I mean, I think it's worth saying again, even though I think we mentioned at least one other time with this season, that the books are, I think, drastically different than the show.
They are.
Also, get in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but the books, in some parts, there's like a novel, and then the rest of the expansion of what the show is a series of short stories or like novellas.
Yeah.
That span centuries, right?
Yeah, because there's an original trilogy, because there's a 3 books that you can get as a trilogy, even though Foundation as a whole covers 7 different books.
Yes.
So that's probably what also you were referring to, as far as I know.
I think so. Mm-hmm. And so, like, again, I could have looked this up. I didn't, because I didn't know we were going to talk about the books again. But I think they were written in like the late 40s. Yeah,
40s or 50s.
So like
when they started, probably around the 40s. Yeah.
So look, to everyone who's upset that we haven't read them, I mean, guys, the statute of limitations on Isaac Asimov's books is well past. If we hadn't done it yet, like, come on, maybe I'll read them now because I'm enjoying the show.
Now, some of the people who have read the books are coming out of the woodwork and they're kind of spoiling things in the comments. So please don't spoil things if you know, because we haven't read, and I'm actually excited to talk about this show.
Agree.
Not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
That said, this is typically a spoiler podcast. We will spoil things from the show. We won't spoil anything from the books because we haven't read them.
Right.
And so if you haven't caught up on the entire show, you should do that. Yeah. Probably so that you can play along or watch or whatever. Listen to our discussion. But yeah, it's been interesting so far. So we'll see if we can continue to appease. For the most part, there are people who read the books and are watching the show and enjoy both. And then there's some people that are just pissed off at the shows that the decisions that the show's made. Apparently the mule was one of them.
Yeah.
And that's the one that was going viral. I just had no idea how important the mule was to the books and the show, and especially to book readers.
Yeah. I mean, I'll read the books eventually. I sincerely think I will now that I'm enjoying the show. Yeah. Also, I love what they're doing with the mule.
Yeah.
Maybe the books is way cooler, way better, or we're missing something. Mm-hmm. But as someone who doesn't know the books, I think the mule is a lot of fun still.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're having fun with the show aspect of it. And that's just all I want to say. Like the show in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think books aside, I mean, we haven't eaten this well in terms of sci-fi in like a long time.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, I don't know how accurate it is, but things are coming over and these books are getting adapted and we're getting such good stuff, as well as the ideas that I hope stay true to the Asimov books and to what his themes and things that he was doing. And I hope that's still present, because that's, I think, the importance of adaptation. At the same time, like, if it's not completely accurate, who cares? This is one of those times where, like, I understand, because we talked about another thing that was adapted from a video game last time, and I understand the woes of adaptation. It's really hard to separate those things.
Yeah.
But when you're going from a non-visual medium to a visual medium, there's a lot more liberties I feel like can be taken here. And I think we're getting such good stuff. I don't know how you can hate it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I will. Okay. If I'm playing devil's advocate, right? Because I agree. I'm loving it. I think you could argue that this is the fourth best sci-fi show on Apple TV right now, or at least to some people. I mean, you have Severance, which is phenomenal. A lot of people really like Silo. And then, of course, The Studio.
Wait, did you say as a sci-fi? Wait, yeah. Okay.
It takes place in the universe.
I got confused with the joke.
It takes place in
the
a
joke
universe.
went over my head.
No, it's in a universe where people care about how TV shows are made.
That's a fantasy. Yeah. No, you're right. Really good sci-fi shows, though, to be completely fair, on Apple TV.
Yeah, Apple TV's doing a lot of
we got
cool
For All
stuff.
Mankind. We have Dark Matter that came out, I believe, last year, that I also really enjoyed. I don't think it's as good, but it's really up there. You have this. You have Murderbot that just came out. There's also another show that I think I saw a trailer for before this episode, and I completely forgot it existed. And it's one of those where I'm like, I don't want to watch it because it doesn't look good. But also now, because I haven't been giving other shows a chance, and Apple has been killing on the sci-fi front, I should watch it, and that's Invasion. I don't know if anyone's been watching that. Please tell me if you think it's good or not. But
I have not watched.
It's on season 3, and I think, they have such a good track record. At this point, maybe I should be giving them the benefit of doubt.
Yeah. I will say too that of a lot of the shows we just named, a lot of it is coming from classic literature.
Yeah.
Not Severance, but I know Murderbot's a book. I know the other one you just listed is from some sort of novel. But so they're picking pretty iconic source material.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolutely. I just think like this is one of those things where Foundation, I feel like, has to change from an adaptation that you could completely leave the books aside and just take it on its own. There's enough big changes there. It's like it can be inspired by less adaptation.
Sure.
And I'm like, it's such good sci-fi. If you could turn off your, like, I hate to treat our fans of the books, I hate to treat you this way, but like, turn your brain off for a little bit. Like the book side of it, like, it's not exactly what you wanted, but how adaptable is it really? Like, can we do exactly what they want? I don't know. It's really hard to do sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make, we talked about this before, it's really hard to make a show. And the fact that Apple has even given, I do not think that there was enough viewership for Apple to even give Foundation 3 seasons, much less 4. I think it has been renewed.
Yeah.
Which is great. Unlike Netflix, they're not just canceling shows, and they're believing in something and continually putting money into these things, which typically costs a lot of money to do, and takes a lot of time. And the visual effects are good. The acting is good. The writing's good. I don't know how we can hate that as sci-fi lovers.
Yeah. Not to mention that it also, to me at least, feels very relevant. There's this big fascistic empire that seems like it might be crawling towards its end. And there's some folks who care about knowledge and facts in the future who are trying to prevent that from happening. Sound like something that you know about? I don't know, I'm like, I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So, that said, I'm glad we're talking about it. I'm glad we're here for episode 2. Let's talk a little bit about any things I've learned since like last week. You know, it's a little bit of feedback. We haven't gotten any feedback, but I've given myself some feedback.
Sure.
One of those things being I made a mistake where I talked about haphazardly the rings of Trantor and where those came about. And I completely forgot that those were built by Empire. Like the rings are man-made structures. They weren't just there because of the destruction of the space elevator, which is I completely just forgot about. But they were made and they were put there. So my bad for continuity errors and being just unknowledgeable. It's really hard for me to keep track. I really should have gone back to rewatch season 1 and season 2 at least, or at least done a recap of season 2, because season 1 is like harder for me to remember like exactly what was going on, because just like most people, I think discovering the show, it is kind of slow to begin with and you don't know exactly what you're kind of getting yourself into. Right. I didn't realize I was in for this like expansive humanity defining style show. I thought it was just like another sci-fi, but it really is dealing with a lot of ideas all at once, and it doesn't hold your hand through it. And I probably should have rewatched it going back with knowing like, oh, this is where we are now. This is what's I
mean, I did. I did rewatch it just before we started recording. I didn't catch your mistake. Also, for what it's worth, if you are considering jumping in, which obviously we want you to do, season 1 has a lot of big setup and can feel a little austere, has a little bit of that sci-fi coldness. Season 2's got a lot more levity. And so far in season 3, I think we're still there.
I think season 2 is better sci-fi.
Yeah.
Season 1, as most season 1s, have limitations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of what they can do and how they can print. And they also want to, there's these characters that they needed to like latch onto to carry you through the whole series. Right. And I think they spend a lot more time in those like internal things and as opposed to the macro kind of stuff, you know?
Agree.
But yeah, another thing that I ran into was some interviews with Lee Pace have been going around.
Oh yeah, he was on Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers, yeah. Specifically, the interview with Seth Meyers I watched today, and we found out in that interview that according to him, this is the 24th Cleon.
Yeah.
So we were speculating like what number are they at? You know, last time was 17. It's only been 150 years. Like their last lifespan is maybe 80-ish years if it's normal, or if extended, is it extended? Now we know, and we'll talk about this more later.
Yes, we will.
Their life is actually dramatically decreased because of the cloning process. So it's a purposeful thing too. Now, and so because of that, I think jumping from 17 to 24, now the 25th when dawn becomes
the current
day,
dawn in season 3. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a huge jump for 150 years. But now we know it's because they've had to go through them a lot quicker since then. Because
that they have learned that the Cleon genome in its clone form has deterioration.
Yeah.
And that this the day and dusk ain't as good as they used to be.
Yeah.
The vitality is just declining.
Yeah. One thing we
or
so
Demerzel says.
It's so interesting. We'll talk about that. Yes. So Demerzel says, or so I think it's known. We do know that they are deteriorating though. That is a known thing. I think that's something that they can't hide, but I guess I don't know. Because here's the thing, I don't think she has ulterior motives, but I don't know. We'll talk about it. I'm sorry. We don't want to get sidetracked. Another thing he mentioned with Seth Meyers was that, which I love. We talked about how much we love this new day.
Stoner day.
This chill, you know,
doing like DMT poppers and chilling with the ferret.
Spores have made a comeback here.
Yeah. These are fun spores, though.
These are fun spores. Not the kind that turn you into flesh-eating zombies.
Though they do kind of turn you into a zombie.
Well, yeah, sure. But apparently it was his idea.
Lee Pace?
To be chill. Yeah. Seth is like, did you go to them and say like, I want to play like a chill days? And he's like, I thought it was a good idea. What would a unserious Cleon look like?
No, it's awesome.
And I'm like, that is great. I'm sure there was something in the writing that may have led him to come to that conclusion. But I think it's really cool that he brought that idea to them, that it was actually like his idea to do that. You know?
Also just like, man, what a gift to an actor to be like, we're going to let you play like tyrannical, fascist dick, you know, sex obsessed with this robot thing. And then the next season, he's like, you're going to grow your beard out. You're going to get a pet ferret and you're just going to want to chill.
Yeah.
It's like awesome. How much fun has that got to be?
I mean, to be fair, being on the cusp of Dusk, I do like seeing that transition anyway, because we've always seen that Dusk he's kind of the wiser, like the advisor to the other brothers.
Sure.
Typically, you know, and he's the one that he's in charge of painting the murals on the wall and doing these more artistic pursuits. And so it's always interesting because you know that they all go through the kind of same cycle, that there's a day that's empire, and of the days that we've seen, like we said, very tyrannical, very dictatorish, very into themselves kind of thing. And we assume that every Dusk has been that at some point. So I always thought seeing that transition is pretty cool. Yeah. You know, that it was eventually we had to get to that Dusk somehow. Yeah. And I love that we're kind of seeing that. Totally. That transition, whether it was his idea or not, but the fact that he's putting it on so well. Yeah, it's great. I love that it was his idea. In another interview, I will mention there was something that you had brought up that I was kind of unsure of, and now has been very made clear in the interviews, and I believe in this episode as well. He very specifically mentioned feeling like a puppet and knowing that Demerzel is in control. Yeah. And that's why he is the way he is. Totally. And I wasn't so sure about that, but it turns out you were right, Morgan. Like he very much is aware of and knows who's in control. And as you said before, this is a person who is like a shell of a king, right? Yeah.
I mean, the exact line, and we can talk about this scene more later, but it's such a
a good line. Yeah.
We're ragdolls dressed up as kings. Yeah. Monsters. It's just like, ugh.
It's really
what a horrifying existence.
Yeah. Ugh. And because I was still under the impression that they were in some sort of control, and with their memories lost, that they didn't quite know who Demerzel was. But now it seems like that they are very aware of.
Cat's out of the bag.
And very clear. Yeah. And that has led to this kind of day that has become who he is.
He's indifferent.
Which I think is also leading to a Dusk that knows who he is. And we'll get more to that later. So yeah, just a few things to follow up on last week. Obviously, if you ever catch something that we say, and especially if you're a book reader, you know, there's so much to get from this show. I will miss things. We will miss things. We'll say things based on our own speculation. We can't know everything, right? And if there's something that you feel like you're picking up on, or that you noticed, or that we're completely wrong on, let us know. Get in the comments, email us, codependentcontent@gmail.com.
Like to put it in the most humble, but in my opinion, accurate way possible. We're not experts. We're just nerds who are excited. And like, we're going to get tons of stuff wrong. We're not claiming that we're an authority on any of this. We just have so much fun talking about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Do you want to tell me, Morgan, maybe your general thoughts on this episode before we kind of dive deep?
Sure. I think that episode 1, the previous episode, told us what this season's going to be about in a broad way, like outlining, okay, here's our central struggle or struggles. I think this episode kind of told us why it's going to be complicated and all the little threads that go into that complicated, into that big picture struggle. I liked it. It sets up more than it answers, for sure.
Sure. It's a very table setting episode.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was fun.
I really liked it. We're introduced to a few more new characters. We're reintroducing ourselves to other characters that we had that we didn't get to really visit in episode 1. And we kind of have a continuation of what else has been happening. It pretty much takes place almost exactly where the last one left off for the most part, right? Yeah. And we kind of see like how all the chess pieces are getting into place.
Yeah,
I think I would say on the shorter end. So it's a little disappointed.
48 minutes.
Yeah, but then the final few scenes, I think, really like solidify it, you know, because some major twists and things happened that I just wasn't expecting.
Yep.
And really kind of turned on my head what I thought was going on. And a lot of the speculation. So at the end, I think it salvaged itself, so to speak. But yeah, so I think pretty hype on it so far. We're still following along. We're still enjoying where this is going, even though it's like I think less to talk about, you know, but still, you know, pretty good episode, you know.
Agree.
Yeah, and I figured one way we can talk about this is kind of character based, you know, so as opposed to like scene by scene based, since it kind of jumps around a little bit. So I think let's start with who we started off with last time, because it should take the least amount of time. And let's see what the mule has been up to.
The mule.
Yeah. Which it seems like right after he does his little coup
with the Duke.
Yeah. And now that he has the ring, he goes to the with the castle. I don't know.
Palace.
The palace,
Space station.
Whatever we want to call it. And he addresses the generals, which at first I wasn't sure who these people were. I thought they were just servants.
I think it's the high command. It's
They're
like
definitely,
it's like because the whole point of sorry to cut you off, but the whole point of the scene, because it isn't clear right away, but it's like, look, I don't need to mind control the entire nation.
Yeah,
I mind control everyone at the top, like a puppet master, and then watch how everything else falls into place.
Yeah. And I think this helped to answer some of the questions for me about like when I wrote down last week, like what are the limits of compulsion? I feel like I'm getting a few answers here, right? About like what exactly is still a little, you know,
I think we're going to get more rules still.
Hand wavy ish, you know?
I think we're going to get more later. I do.
Sure. But it seems very clear because he talked about his own limitations. It takes a lot of work for him to do this.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. There's a little hand wavy. And then also in some ways it feels like to me, like a little bit like the Force, right? Like there's very much a clear, like, okay, when you are mind controlling someone, there's the, you know, are they weak minded or are they strong minded? That seems to be a little bit of what I think adds to the complexity of what he can and cannot do.
I mean, he seems to now, there's more context that we've seen more of him. Mm-hmm. He seems very similar to like one of is it the Mentalix?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He seems like someone who has like similar powers as them. He's just highly trained.
Right. Well, the thing is like, we don't, because their powers, forgive me if I'm wrong, we're seeing different power sets though. They have the ability to kind of like project themselves. They have the ability to make themselves look like someone different. Maybe to do some telekinetic things. We haven't seen him say like, make something float. We haven't seen him do it. He's just, as he said in this episode in here, he's just very coercive. Yeah. It's manipulative. It's what any good leader is, which is give you the ability to like want something and to love, right? That's even more dangerous, but it's not quite psycho telekinetic, you know, kind of power, which I don't know that we've seen any of Gale's Mentalics be able to do. Do you recall? I know that they can kind of control, but it's like when you take control of maybe someone's body or mind and you're able to make them do something physically, but not exactly get them to, not to change their want, right? To change their need. That's different. That seems pretty dangerous. That seems right.
I agree, but I mean, I'm gonna start waxing theoretical here.
Sure,
but I don't think that Gale's different. I think that we're gonna find out that Gale does have powers of mind control, psychic persuasion, stuff like that. She just hasn't figured out how to do it yet. I have a feeling she's quite similar to the mule.
Yeah. We have to talk about, because we mentioned how cool the scene was in his introduction, first off.
Yeah.
And I do recall someone commenting on a TikTok saying like, oh, wait till you see episode 2. And I hadn't seen it at that point. I was like, man, were they right? Because I felt like this was a better demonstration of his power than the like blowing up an entire army basically and destroying a bunch of ships, because it was small, it was contained, and it was scary for me, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, obviously using a little girl and having her put a gun up to her head. Sorry guys, trigger warning.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've seen the show by this point. We're talking about some very adult things, but be able to do that. I mean, it's a child, right? And a child already is very malleable, you know, and very innocent, right? She has no idea what's going on. And so it's already very disturbing.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, you proved your point. We don't, with the love that you don't need to do this, but he does it. He keeps pushing it further and further. That's, I think that's a better demonstration.
Yeah. Well, not only that he makes the child do this, right?
Yes.
But then like the specific sequences, you're going to pull the trigger of this gun with your father's gun, point it at your head on the count of 3. But he only counts to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, one of the generals in the room blurts out 3 and then covers their mouth. Like, whoa, oh my God, can't believe I was just compelled to do that. Luckily, the gun is not loaded, it seems. But yeah, so you get the demonstration with the child, and you also get to see that he's capable of simultaneously.
Yeah. Do you think he did that?
100%.
You don't think because I think that was involuntarily on her part, but I don't think it was him.
Oh, I very much think it was him.
Okay. I mean, I think we could disagree there but I think that his whole point was the fact is like, look how compelling I can be by not controlling you, by controlling someone else. And that's what he sets this up by, and he does kind of like pick on this one, I guess, general or whatever she is, right?
Yeah.
And look at her the most, I think, knowing that she's going to be the faulty one, right? And I don't know why she would say 3, but at the same time, when you know something is coming and you don't want it to be said, and then you involuntarily say it, I understand that idea, and that's why I don't know. It feels like it's something that he could have controlled, but I think it's even more dangerous is the fact that he did not, that he wasn't controlling her there.
Why would she want to say 3 if he wasn't controlling her?
I think she was afraid of him saying it, and then involuntarily, like she wanted to say no and then accidentally said 3. I don't know. I can't be in the mind of a person. I don't know.
That's a weird take.
I don't really know exactly what's going on. I don't know. It's just, I think his whole point was like, I can be compelling without actually compelling you.
Oh, I thought it was that not only can I impose my will on this person, but I will make you do it for me.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. It might've been an actor choice to say, like, what do you say there? 'Cause you could say no, but what else you say? I don't know. It just didn't feel like it, just to me. But I agree. Like, if you think he did,
because also then when she said
if he's able to do that simultaneously, I just don't see the point of, unless it's again to show like how. Why would you think? I guess maybe you can answer. Why do you think he would be controlling both? Why would he think he'd have someone else do it to finish that?
To show you that the child still wants it after it doesn't happen, and to traumatize them. Right?
You think that, but how does that connect? I'm a little confused. So he has another person finish the countdown.
Yes.
For just to show the same thing, that if he had finished the countdown though, because the gun was never going to go off, like, and he knew that, right?
Yes, and he did know that for sure.
So I think he still would have demonstrated that the same thing without having someone else finish the countdown.
I think it's demonstrating that he's not just controlling a child, right? And that also, like, he can manipulate them. But I also think that he has someone else say it, because then you get to watch the child after 3's been said and click, no bullet or no charge, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then the general slams their mouth like, oh my God, what have I done? Mm-hmm. It's going like this and terrified. Mm-hmm. And the kid is just calmly sitting there looking at the gun, wondering why it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So not only, still fully in control, right? Mm-hmm. That not only did he make the general say 3 to their horror, but the kid still wants to shoot the gun at their head. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I think those are two separate things. But yeah, I think whether or not he made the general do it, I think is interesting. It can be like a very Schrodinger's cat kind of thing. Like he did or didn't, he still compelled her to do it, regardless if he actually compelled her or if by compelling the child with the gun caused her to say 3 or do whatever. I think it achieves the same thing.
Wait, but I don't understand your argument. If he didn't mind control her to say it, then why would she have said 3?
I think it's just a mistake.
What the fucking mistake is that?
I've ran into people. I don't know. I mean, like
You're supposed to be like the most competent military people on the planet.
No, this is a pleasure planet, right? An entertainment planet. I am not quite sure the most competent people on the planet doesn't make them a very competent military, right? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you get sent here or you're a military here, like what are you like? One, they show up in full force at the beginning of the episode and lines, which I don't think they do very often. They keep themselves out of the war. They're not a war. They're not fighting Foundation or Empire. They're like, we do our own thing or whatever. And people come here. We're like very neutral. I think they're dressed very prettily. There's even like their poster or whatever you want to call it of like how the Duke and his daughter are dressed. There's this sense of presentation. I don't think that they're very good generals, right? I think they're just regular people that are just in military. I don't think this would be the military you'd want on your side, is basically what I'm saying, regardless of like how good they are. They might be the best on the planet. Probably not the best planet to have a military, right?
If everything you're saying is true, which I will grant for the sake of going down the wormhole of your explanation, then doesn't that prove that they're just incompetent and not that he's persuasive?
I think both are true.
No, you said it was a mistake.
Yeah,
but that doesn't make him persuasive at all. Then
he's compelling them to do things. He's starting with this planet. It's an easy planet to get, I think, but he's going to start here. Whether or not we'll see their competency later on, but I think there's going to be people that are like fearful of him. And especially on this planet, the fact that they would be easy to compel would be a reason to start with this planet, right? That they would be easier to, I guess, manipulate would be a good reason to come here, especially because no one seems to care, right? Because no one seems surprised that Calgon has been taken over by one person. They are worried and concerned that it was able to be done. They don't really seem surprised. And then there are the people on the opposite side of Calgon that are just like, we don't care what's going on, because the rich come here, they just do a thing and they ignore what's happening. Yeah. So it makes it super easy for them to do whatever, right? For him to come and do these things. And he only needs to compel certain people, and other people will go based off of fear, which is the biggest compelling thing, right? I think that's what he doesn't say fear, but he says, I've realized I can compel people without having to actually get into their head. Basically, I can just compel someone else and the others will just fall in line. They will fall in line because they will fear me, is basically what I think he's saying. Right. And I think some of them are unsure. They're kind of confused on what's going on. And I think the demonstration works. I think that regardless of whether or not he did it or not, I do understand. 3 seems weird. I understand her saying 3 is weird and her finishing it is weird.
Yeah, of all the words you can say.
But I have been in situations or seen, and I don't know what it is mentally, but where people there are sometimes whenever you're so anxious or worried about something happening or about saying the wrong thing or like, what's coming, right? That you accidentally blurt out the thing that you were like fearing, because in your head, she's also counting down. She's hearing 3, she's hearing 2. She's like, don't say 1, don't say 1 or 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. She's saying 1, 2, and don't say 3, don't say 3. And then don't say in her head, maybe she said, don't say, and then blurted out 3, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I can see where that happens because I've seen that those miscommunications with our brain and our mouth happen in other scenarios where someone's like, I meant to say this, but I accidentally said the thing I didn't want to say. And I can't give a really good example right now, but that's basically, the idea where if you were to say like, I meant to say, don't stop, but I just said stop. Right. Or
she meant to say not 3, but she just said
or something
3.
like that. Right. Like, say, like it's in her and she's like, it's building up in her, like, and maybe that's why it was there. So it is weird, but I don't think that he caused her by getting into her head to do that. Yeah. It's just what I think. But I think regardless of whether or not he did is kind of neither here nor there. Like he did compel her. Whether it did it by getting her head or not, it happened. I think it would be interesting, both if he did, as you said, like it shows that he's able to compel people simultaneously, which we've already seen, though. We've already seen how he's able to compel people simultaneously. Yeah. I think him not having compelled her by getting into her head shows how right he is and that he doesn't need to.
I think, again, if I'm tying together my argument, because this can be your take, and maybe we'll find out in a later episode. Maybe we never will. But if you are if you are trying to juxtapose, in my opinion, what you are saying as the correct, like, if the point of his speech is, I can manipulate and I don't need to even be the one, like, behind it, right? Mm-hmm. Then the whole point is that, to me, he's absolutely still in that woman's head. That's why she says it and then goes like this and is like, what the hell did I just do? And the girl still responds, even though he didn't say 3. A third source did outside of him, and she still followed the order and pulled and went click. So the metaphor is that I don't even need to be the one giving the orders directly to her. Mm-hmm. I can tell one of you to say it to her, and that she'll still listen. Yeah. That's where I see it.
I do think that there is... here's the thing. I think he is compelling her, but not getting into her head. I think he's doing it in more of like a magician or a hypnotist would when he sets his sights on this one person and he does like little things and he plants the idea early on. Yeah. What do they call those? Mentalists, right? So we have mentalics, we have mentalists. And I do think that there is
you think he's a mentalic and a mentalist?
I think that it feels very much in that vein, right? Because have you ever seen a mentalist work? Because they somehow... are you watching Game Changer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob Wysocki with the elephant. Yes.
Yeah, he did that, right? Yes. Like he made, if you're not watching Dropout and Game Changer, this is great. Dude. This is a great chance for us to finally promote that. But like,
God bless everything.
To go through an entire episode and be planting these hints and to suddenly like get a person to say a thing that they did not know that they were going to say, but you planted it in their head, right? Subtly. He seems to do very similar things with this one person, because you're like, why does he keep picking on this one person? And I think and again, I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong. I just think it's more dangerous that he would have the ability to do it without getting into her head, that he would be able to do it like a mentalist would, that he would, or a magician, to kind of plant the idea even before he started doing the demonstration.
I think his psychic ability is more dangerous.
Sure.
Because it's absolute power.
Sure.
And the mentalist is very easily trained against.
Let's talk about what happens. Let's talk about what happens right after, because I do feel like there's a difference between how we see it has happened and how it happens with the girl and how it happens with this general, if she was compelled by him, right? As you mentioned, like, not only does she shoot herself, but he asks for the gun, says, give it to me, and she doesn't want to let it go.
She doesn't.
And that is the more scary thing, right? That he created such a compulsion with her that it doesn't leave.
She hasn't completed the task.
Right. Yeah. So the difference is that the general doesn't still feel compelled to like make the little girl shoot. So she stops herself and she's done, right?
She
so
had no compulsion to make the girl shoot. She just had a compulsion to say the number 3.
I don't think it gets that specific with him. Say the number 3 versus
that's exactly what I watched happen.
What do you want, right? I just want to say the number 3. Then she would just always say the number 3 though. Like then, because when that compulsion, okay, sure.
But she completed the task.
Well, with the girl though, it's super interesting, right? That I don't think even, with the task or done or not, that she still like, it comes from a deeper desire to, I guess, like please him, right? That he is...
Well, because he's embedded with her. We get more in the scene before that where he's like, do you love the mule?
Yeah. She's
like, more than anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He didn't do that to the generals. He didn't do any of that kind of nonsense with them. Or if he did, we didn't see it. But I think that the scene is supposed to be taken at pretty face value.
Yeah.
Right? So he's embedded with her. He's embedded this in her.
Yeah. And this is interesting to me, coming off of the back of episode 1, when we go through the programming of robots and what their directives are or whatever.
The 3
and
rules.
That's very interesting because he's seemingly reprogramming her to want to meet this, just call it directive, of not only like loving him, but like killing herself. That it's so ingrained in her that even he has trouble getting past it a little bit, right? He's like, you can do it later. I promise you can do it later. Yeah. But there is a little bit of annoyance. There's like, just give me the gun. Like the demonstration's over. Like I get it. But even once he programs, it's kind of out of his hands a little bit. Right. I'm sure he could reprogram and go back in there and do something, but I
think that's what it is though. I think that he's lazy. That this is just a demonstration for him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to go through the work of, you no longer need to shoot yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to love the mule for no reason.
Or
I need you to hand me the gun. He's just like,
or can he?
I think he could.
You
I just don't think he doesn't want to.
I
think he doesn't care.
I have to wonder, because to me, that's a dangerous thing in itself, where he could create all these things, but what happens when one directive takes over for another, right? And that's where it becomes, again, a juxtaposition or a mirror of like the robot thing that we have. Like he's just treating them as robots, and we give you these rules, these things that you have to kind of like live by, his directives that he puts out. This is what you are compelled. This is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
And then what happens when, as we saw with the robot war, when one directive kind of takes over, because we saw that the robots were infighting first. And I think that's going to be maybe a foreshadowing of his downfall. This like little moment with this little girl, that he maybe he can compel them, but he can maybe compel them to a point where it becomes detrimental to him, right? Like because if he can't take it back,
if he isn't specific enough with his language, or if there's something in the directive that he did not foresee them interpreting it or going for.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's very possible.
Yeah. And I don't know if, I don't know if he can take it back without great, I guess, care. It's not something you can just flip a switch or whatever, seemingly. Like he can't just, like, because if it was, he could just turn it off. It seems like he would have to put a lot of work into getting her to back to normal or whatever. And that seems...
I mean, if this were the case, it would mirror the Demerzel problem very nicely, right? Because Demerzel's objective originally was to protect and preserve the Cleon dynasty. But over the course of centuries, it's become her interpretation of protection and preservation has been essentially to enslave them.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think there's something to that. I dig that theory.
Yeah. So we'll see. Again, if you read the books, you probably already know where this is going or something. I have no idea, but I think that's such a great, subtle way to show. Again, when I ask the question, what are the limits of compulsion? I'm like, oh, the limits are in the compulsion. Yeah. The limits are like, one, not only do they have to be like, I guess, weak-minded enough or manipulative to a certain extent, right? He targets very specific people in order to get the others to fall in line, right? And then also, when a compulsion takes over, it really takes over, and it just remains there. The only people, and again, this is why I don't think he compelled the general. The only people we've seen that he's compelled that where the compulsion stopped are people that killed themselves or died, right? Like even her father, like he did feel like he didn't want to do the thing, but he still did the thing, and then he like shot himself, and we don't know, like, we didn't see him like be able to stop or cover his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like what did I do in that way? Which feels like very different from like the general's reaction to have reacted in that way, right? She did, like her compulsion. I guess if you could just compel something so specific as say the number 3 and then stop, I guess you could do that. I don't think he's that specific, but again, I don't know that we've seen yet that he gets so specific. He's very broad about it. He's very like, I think you want to take your own life is very different from you want to say the number 3. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I know what you're saying, don't want to live anymore. Yeah.
I think we've already seen something very specific when he makes the first general, the girl's dad, bite off his own fucking finger to get the ring.
Yeah.
I think that's quite specific. And also he looks horrified doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's very specific manipulation.
I guess it depends on how the compulsion worked, because biting off your finger is specific. Yes. You want to give me the ring at any means necessary is not as specific.
But that's not the way it went. He said, could you now give me the ring? He tries to pull it off.
Yeah.
He can't get it. And then it cuts back to him, the mule, and he goes, would you please?
Yeah.
Which is to me so clear that he's saying, I'm telling you how to get it off now.
Sure. I'm possibly... I guess there's many options that you could have done to take off the ring, whether or not he has a dagger, whether or not he can just shoot off
the gun in his
gun, you know, and to where it's like, it kind of was like
cut off the whole hand.
It wasn't exact. Yeah. It wasn't as specific. I don't know. Cause we don't know. I know the only time we know is like, what if I tell your pilot that he suddenly feels the need to turn the gun on his fellow thing, you know, and, or to shoot down this thing. Like I guess it could take root in other ways, like there's an idea, like there's options there, never specifically like one option, but I guess because he presents the gun and obviously that's the option that he wants you to go with. I'm just saying I again, this power is so vague and specifically made vague because I don't think we're ever going to know like how powerful is he or whatever. And maybe I'm just getting too world buildy about it and be like, how to make it make sense to me, you know? And I think that I'm never going to get an answer to these things. I've just never seen anything like super specific that couldn't have been interpreted another way, because it is about desire, right? It's about planting a desire within you, which is a very interesting thing when it comes to desire, right? I'm curious like what his own desires are, like if he wants to be loved or whatever in all of this kind of thing, and we can get into that. But
the mule?
Yeah, desire is like so much more broad, and sometimes, but a desire is something that you could get usually different ways. A desire is something you can get in multiple different, you have options for, right? as opposed to like a very specific thing, I guess, unless, but I don't know. It's like that's how desire works in funny ways, so I don't really know what his compulsion is. I don't know. And,
he said, I think he said it a point or two, right? That he wants planets, plural.
Yeah.
That he wants like a galaxy.
But is it, obviously there's power, there's control, there's love. He's like, you'll come to love me. That's how he starts off this whole speech, is like, you guys don't know me, but you'll learn to love me, and it's like, okay, so is that like, do you want this omnipotent godlike love, kind of thing? It's obviously he wants planets as like a means to this end, but but there's an end, right? And I'm not exactly sure why, because we're all playing, because the Foundation and the Empire, they're playing a different game. They're just trying to stop a dark age or do whatever. And where does he come in terms of like, does he want to bring about the dark age? I don't think so. Or does he? Is that what I don't know.
Or he is the dark age.
Or he is that
his leadership, rulership, it ends up being the dark age. Of course, he might not see it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're supposed to know yet.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Desire is complex is all I'm saying. But
Sure.
yeah, still a very disturbing scene. Much better introduction, I think, than even the first time around, even though, as we've argued about it, I think the power is still kind of vague and kind of broad,
Yeah, sure.
I think we're okay to move on with the mule then.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
I mean, Jesus, we're going almost an hour now. We're at
No,
scene
we
one.
haven't. I guess a little bit, yeah. Not since we started. We had a little bit of preamble to do before we talked about the episode, but yeah. Let's talk about the second Foundation and Gale and what's been going on there. Because not only do we finally return to the second Foundation, but we are we go back in time to the first year after they went into cryosleep, I guess, however you want to call it, right? And we kind of get like a montage of how they've been doing things. They've been training them in their off time. They only come awake every couple of weeks, This is kind of stuff is fun. I love this stuff. This is time travel to me, and I love time travel stories, but in a very different kind of way.
Yeah. Well, it's also, for me, it's like also begs the question. I'm like, if anybody can just get put in cryo like that, I'm like, oh man, so you could theoretically like choose to live your life over hundreds, if not thousands of years, as long as you're willing to live it a day at a time or something.
Absolutely.
Like that.
And I'm sure that people have thought about that. And we've had those kinds of ideas in sci-fi before, who has access to these things? I don't know. Right. But that's what I love about Foundation as a series altogether, is that it seems to like just introduce these concepts, and you're like, presumably this exists in other ways, but we're only seeing like this version of it. We're only seeing where it's being used here, right?
Yeah, the technology is mundane to them.
Yeah.
It's just the thing they do.
Yeah, this is just easy. This is just a solution, right? Granted, I don't know if this is in the books because I don't know if Gale continues throughout.
I have no idea. I mean, so if I'm being totally
even
honest,
even here, Harry's mentions like how you were supposed to be dead centuries ago, but now you're here, and that's changed things. And is that a show invention as well? And he kind of like puts the lampshades, right? You're aware of the phrase lampshading.
How do you mean?
It's basically the show. I don't remember why it's called lampshading. Is when you put the lampshade on the bulb, you're basically saying it's the show saying, we know what the audience is thinking, right? We're telling you we know exactly what it is, right? Which is essentially, if you are, I guess, from the books and you know that Gales never exists or whatever, they kind of basically say it out loud. Yeah. It's kind of the writers and saying at the same time that Harry's saying, you're not meant to be here, and you are changing things, and you're the anomaly, but there's something about you being here that is important, right? Which would be interesting. I don't know if that's a show invention, but I guess someone that has read the book can tell us,
It is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a show invention, because it would mirror the same decision with having like the Cleons, right? Because it allows us to span multiple centuries of a dictatorship
Mm-hmm.
while also getting to see the same actors.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to meet a new guy and every time be like, who's this fucker that I probably don't need to care about because he's only going to be Dave for 20 or 30 years. He's only going to be alive for 60.
Yeah.
And this show spans hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yeah.
So you don't get attached. Whereas like putting her in cryo so she can exist for the length of the Second Foundation.
Yeah.
Creating the clone dynasty means that we get to be like, no, we get to see Leak Pace every week. And,
Yeah.
you know, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was a show invention.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I guess that is just the question of, were all these ideas like in the book or are they just inspired by it? It'd be super interesting if Asimov was coming up with all these things though, and they are in the book somewhere. It's still wild to me.
It's very impressive.
There's so
it would be wild.
There's so much like that. It's already hard for us to come up with like good, just one sci-fi idea for any movie nowadays that he packed so much in the 1950s when our biggest sci-fi was the day the Earth stood still, and that was like flying saucers and green alien men, and that was basically and Star Trek, the original series, was coming out in the 60s, right? You know, so like this is, they're not dealing. This is a lot. This is some heavy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, also like frankly though, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if the inventions of the show aren't in the original novel, there's no fucking way they could have made this in the 60s. Like
Sure, no, absolutely not.
It would have sucked with movie technology in the 60s. It would have been bad.
Speaking of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds is out now, and I'm finally catching up on that. We talked about that on the podcast, the second season, when that was out. And
are you liking?
Unfortunately, I'm liking it. I didn't enjoy the second season quite as much as before. I think going back to watching it and just enjoying it without having to like analyze it, I guess I just realized that Star Trek is not a very good analyzing show for me, right? But it is a fun Star Trek show. If you've loved Star Trek, again, as sci-fi people, even if it's not on Apple TV, we're eating right now. And if you don't like Foundation, go watch Star Trek at least. Strange New Worlds, I think it's just a fun, I think I'm finding it really hard to not fall in love with literally every single member of the cast because they're all very good looking and very
everyone on TV is beautiful now.
Very charismatic. And one of people disagree. One of the best Spocks I think we've ever had. I know people disagree, especially like OG. As far as I'm aware, like OG Spock people, you know. But I think he's doing a really good job. Ethan Peck, Gregory Peck's son or whatever.
Oh, it is Gregory Peck's son.
Yeah. I think is just doing a fantastic job, and he's always been a highlight. And then of course, Captain Pike. Oh my God, what the heck? And oh my God, what is the actor's name? I totally forgot. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. We're not talking about Star Trek. We're talking about Foundation. But like the one of the best captains we've had in a while. I'm not a fan of Star Trek.
Oh, Kirk, you mean? Or
no. It's a new one.
Oh, okay.
I'm just forgetting a lot of names. I'm trying to keep Foundation in my head, and I don't know why I brought up a whole new thing.
A lot of characters.
We have a lot of good sci-fi right now, and there's like so many ways you can like enjoy that. And I'm like, hey, go watch that. If you haven't been watching that, go watch.
Turns out
Star
when
Trek.
the world's falling apart, it feels pretty good to escape.
Let's get back into Foundation, and so yes, Harry has decided in this. We just kind of brought up this idea. Whether lampshading or not, like they're realizing they're not able to catch up in this war. They're not able to keep everything straight. The Second Foundation is not going to succeed if one of them or both of them don't stay awake. And he obviously says it's got to be me because you're too important. You have to fight the mule. Again, whether or not that's a book thing or whatever, I don't know how I feel about. Like, oh, you're so important. Like you're destined to do this kind of thing in this kind of story. I know that apparently this Foundation and Dune have often been like talked about in conjunction with each other because they come around the same time, and they kind of build off of one another in terms of like one tried to do one thing, and then Frank Herbert tried to say like, well, if that's true, then maybe let me do this thing. And he wanted to make a Messiah figure. And I don't want to have another kind of, I don't think she's messianic, but I don't know how I feel about an important person in another sci-fi thing. I kind of want to not be done with that, but more or less she has to fight the mule, you know? Yeah. So, I guess, right? So that's the thing. So he has to stay.
He has to get old.
Yeah, and he has to get old. But apparently we jump forward 148 years after she goes to sleep. Why? Why do you think? Because there's a lot.
I think we're not meant to know. I think this is just another example of Harry being the puppet master, pulling strings and not telling anybody what the fuck's going on.
I think, I do think he thinks that he's a better, Gale is a better shot at the mule than he is. I think he didn't want to be alive that long. Yeah. I think there's I don't remember exactly how season 2 played out, but he definitely have to be convinced. At first I was pissed off because I was like, why even make him go into cryosleep in the first place? Because that doesn't seem like, if we're just going to like kill him off in the second episode, essentially kill him off. I don't think he's dead, but essentially like get rid of him after the second episode, even one episode, right? We haven't really seen him. So
it is, I will say, so like one thing more generally with the show that I wanted to talk about is that like, it is hard to start giving a shit about stakes with like Harry Seldon. If it's like, he gets sentenced to death in the first episode of the first season. Yeah. And then it's exile to Terminus. And then he actually gets stabbed and you think he's murdered, but it turns out he needed to die. But then his consciousness is uploaded, so it's like he's still there. Yeah. But then somebody, I think her name's Callie, has the ability to take his consciousness and reattach it to a body, which brings up a lot more questions about then, well, can anybody die in this universe? If you can upload your consciousness and then also take that consciousness and put it back in a body, can't we all be immortal? Yeah. And then now that he's immortal, but not, he's aging again. And I'm like, well, why don't we just put him in another new young body? Yeah. We had an option to just... Or upload his consciousness again. Right. Well, we don't want another genetic dynasty. No, but like what? Yeah. It to me, a plot decision to keep him alive when we could have killed off this Harry in the second season. Yeah. Is frustrating to me if we're not going to go back to like, what has he been doing for 148 years? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's the last time we're going to see of Harry. I also don't think he's dead, because when this... Oh, that was not... I don't think him walking into the mystical portal field is death at all. I think that's like, to me, that's either time travel, dimensional travel, but definitely not death. Expound more, because I'd love to know what you think more. Yeah, the same woman who is there is the woman, his wife, right? Or the image of his wife, his dead wife. Is it her? If I recall correctly? I thought it was the woman that imbued him with a body. So she's just the prime radiant. Yeah. Or she well, in the closed captions, when she speaks, it's the prime radiant. And you're right. Yeah, she gave her a body, but I think she took on the image of Una, his wife. But I don't think it's literally her. No, she's not. She's dead. It's the image of his wife, though. Yes. Yes. But I think he's like moving through some transcendent space, or he's time traveling, or going into a different dimension. Well, that's the thing. It's like, that's why I'm confused. Like she is in the closed captions when she first speaks in this episode. It says prime radiant as the person speaking. I don't watch with captions. Well, I couldn't remember what the character's name was, because it's been a while since I've seen season 2. And so I was looking with the closed captions to see if they said the person's name, because it says off screen, and it didn't say Callie, which I think you are correct, or Callie, right? Because that's her credited name in IMDb, but here it says Prime Radiant, which I found was interesting. So where did he go? And it's definitely, he's going somewhere across time and space without needing a whisper drive or anything else. And he's confused by this, that this is technology that's way beyond. And she's like, let us show you. And now I'm like, what godlike fucking beings are we dealing with now? Because I do not recall this being a part of any. And now I'm like so confused. Like, what is this is some interesting
I'm gonna say interstellar, fourth dimensional being kind of shit that it feels like. If I can give any sort of comparison, but I'm not exactly sure. Do you know what I'm saying? That's just a feeling that I get. Yeah.
I think Calais is a different person than Harry's wife.
Harry's wife is Una.
Yes. I think Calais, I don't think that this person is literal Calais necessarily either, but Calais or Callie.
But that's the actress, right? Is that the actress playing
No,
Calais?
I'm talking about the name of the character.
Who's Calais?
She is a mathematician whose work Gale is gifted that helps her solve the Abraxas conjecture.
Is it that person that shows up?
She is the person that imbues. She is the physical representation we see when Harry gets imbued with a body.
That's this person right now.
That's who I think we see again.
That's what I'm saying.
When Harry walks into
Yeah. It doesn't. When I meant is that the actress, I'm saying it's the same person. I'm not saying it's Una. It's the image of his wife, but it's Calais, right? And you're correct, but I don't know if it is still Calais. That's how she's listed in IMDb.
Yeah.
But in the closed captions, it says Prime Radiant. And I didn't watch the credits, so I don't know how she's credited. And I'm not saying one or both can be true. Calais could be the Prime Radiant or vice versa, and I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember much about Calais, but it's all the same person. Technically, Una, Calais, and the Prime Radiant are essentially the same
It seems
person.
like it's just forms that the Prime Radiant takes.
Yes.
Like in order to communicate with Harry while he's in it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's essentially the same person. It is Calais, or it was Calais, right? It never stopped being Calais, and it is the image. And his wife is named Una. Am I correct? And
yes,
yeah, right. That's right. It is the image. So it's not Una, but it is the image of Una. Yeah, I just noticed, and I don't know if it's a mistake or if that's a very specific thing to be. And also, to be fair, the closed captions screwed up on me the first time because it never told me what the first speaker was signing. So I was like, oh, what a decision to have him sign and then not give you an interpretation because it didn't work the first time. I had to go back and I was like, and when I rewatched the episode, turn on the captions. So captions could be wrong is what I'm saying whenever it says Prime Radiant speaks, but because I don't know if that's a mistake, but at the same time, the fact that I would have to go to the captions that she's not credited in IMDb or anything as the Prime Radiant, but it says Prime Radiant is speaking might be new revelation. I'm no idea. Right.
But there's been other times when Harry talks to the Prime Radiant when he's in like the.
Yeah. And it's her, right? In that little void space.
In the void space in the diamond thing on Terminus. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. Anyways.
The vault.
Yeah. The vault. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's all one and the same is what I think, but yeah, where do they go and what are they? And is it the Prime Radiant or now I'm like trying to think of, because Harry was like very specifically like, they told me they wanted skin in my game. That's what Salvor had said.
That's her guess.
Right. Yeah.
Why would they put me back in a body? Because they want you to have more skin in the game.
Yeah. And she's specifically like, well, let us show you. Again, super interesting. What kind of being are we dealing with here? And is it the Prime Radiant? And therefore, I have to wonder, did Harry make the Prime Radiant as he's been telling us? Or was it given to him by something else? And again, I don't know where this could go. This is where, again, sci-fi, it could kind of go anywhere. Is this some sort of like interstellar fourth dimensional being kind of thing, which is basically us from the future? How else does he know? How else can he do the math and do that? Right. And we can know and change it. There's a possibility here that's kind of getting into, one of my favorite phrases, but I found out it's a Doctor Who thing, timey-wimey shit.
Yeah.
It's I've never seen Doctor Who. That was a joke there. It's like I also tend to say timey-wimey stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Because I love time travel thing, and that, as you said, is he going to a future or like a some place else? Right. There's it's interesting because it just opens up. He doesn't need to travel there. He doesn't need to although I will say it's an interesting, there's some other being doing this. It has to be. It's not the Prime Radiant.
And just before that moment, right? He's like, all right, Gale, catch you in another,
see you tomorrow.
year tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. And then either, I don't remember if it's the Prime Radiant or an actual human being, like assistant, but they're like, you didn't say goodbye to her? It's like, I didn't have the heart to look her in the eyes and say it.
No, that was that person,
right?
That Prime Radiant.
So it's like
said that. Yeah.
So he knows he's going somewhere.
Yes.
Far away.
Yeah.
And potentially for a while.
Yeah.
So he knows something.
Yeah.
But I don't know what.
Yeah. This
Harry's not very fucking forthcoming.
This became such an much more interesting conversation I thought it was going to be in terms of like what is actually going on here, because I was not sure, but I'm glad we had it. I think either way, he is coming back. I think into the story, whether or not we just see it in like flashbacks. What has he been doing? You know, I have a feeling we might have a 9th or 10th episode, like something happens and then Gale's like, pieces together the things, and then we suddenly see like a montage of all the pieces like he set up,
You know how people feel about penultimate flashback episodes with our main favorite character. I don't know about that.
Okay. Dude, well,
what have we learned?
We're also that was a 7 episode series that used its penultimate episode to do a flashback thing. It wasn't different from a 10 episode thing that could potentially tie up these things as well.
And it was in the 2nd season, not the 3rd. And we already, and in that show, we hadn't shown the audience how to bring people back to life or to put their consciousness into computers.
It's also half the story. The Last of Us, that's half of the story.
We got to stop talking about The Last of Us. We got too much foundation to get through.
But I won't be surprised that we see flashbacks, at least in some episode or something that shows like what has he been planting, what has he been doing, or if he just comes back in general.
Yeah.
Even for like a last episode, like I'm going to be gone forever, but I'm glad to have shown it. Or maybe he'll do it in a Gandalf-y way, like, oh, you fulfilled your purpose, Gale. Now come with me.
Harry the White.
To the future, to the whatever, into the utopia of like whatever the thing
come with
doing.
me to Valhalla, Gale.
What is going on?
What's
I don't
Valhalla
know.
for mathematicians look like?
He leaves, and where are my fucking notes? They leave. She stays. She gets to work, right? She now has all the knowledge, all the things. Apparently there's more. I have also, if anyone can tell me, I really don't know what to make of this thing that he shows her, and she's like, that's the Invictus, this is where we're headed. I'm like, wait, to another galaxy, to like another, I don't know what that's saying.
Okay,
I'm really confused
on
that.
I don't think it's supposed to be clear, but it's like I'm using a hand gesture, sorry if you're just listening, but it looks like almost like let's say like if you like cut a hose in the middle and it started flapping around.
Not
like,
that part. Not that part.
You mean?
No, the part where Harry originally gives her everything and shows her a little image and says, if we don't do a thing, this is where we're headed. And she says something about the Invictus. And then that's all she says, but it has a line going from like one galaxy or a zoomed in portion of a galaxy all the way to another galaxy. I have no idea. I'm confused. Oh. I'm so confused on that. Maybe that's where he went. I don't fucking know. Like,
I have no idea.
But it's a very short thing and very momentary. And it wasn't enough for me to be like, to have any answers there. And I don't know what's going on. So if someone can tell me what was actually happening there and why she mentioned the Invictus, because the Invictus was the ship.
It's
right?
the weapon ship.
It was a ship that could go through time, or not through time, through that could travel farther than like a whisper ship, right? It can.
That might be true, but
that was the cool thing about the Invictus is it can create it. It can once it spins up and does its thing, right? This is a ship that exploded last season, right? The Invictus.
It was the ship that they were all on that they used to nuke Terminus.
that fell down into Terminus
it was
destroyed and created that little black hole thing, and it kind of sucked up a little bit, right? It was the big ship that they were all after, right? We had a whole these people that were going after it, these like scavengers that were trying to take it over for Foundation, supposedly, and this is why he nuked Terminus. Was that not it? I'm misremembering. Either way, there was people that were trying to take it over. I'm talking about the ship with many rings that would like spin up and do like a lot, right?
Well, all the Empire ships have the rings and can teleport. That's how.
They can't, because if they could, they wouldn't be using jump.
They can
jump gates.
They can. They all use jump gates. That's why they have that race of humans that help them do it.
The spacers that help them do the whisper drives.
No, whisper drives are different. Whisper drives are new technology that the Foundation created that don't have to use the jump people. That's the whole thing.
The spacers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Empire has tons of technology to travel through space with the rings. Anytime you see a ship with that, there's many of them. You're supposed to go, that's an Empire ship. Right. And the whole point of the Invictus was it got lost because it travels randomly sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it does it the same way that every other ship that Empire owns does. It was just older technology at that point because it had been missing for so long.
Yeah.
But the ship itself was unique because of its weaponry capability.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the same ship then. It is just specifically,
and it's
specifically whereas other ships have rings that help them. I'm specifically talking about the one that is just rings. Like the ship is just a bunch of rings.
Sure.
I don't recall other ships being just a bunch of rings like that, but as you're right. So
I'm not saying that other ships are just rings. I'm saying that all Foundation ships have a central point in the middle that's hollow where rings go around.
Absolutely. I'm talking specifically about, so we are talking about the ship. I was just asking for clarity.
But I still don't think that's the thing that makes it unique. The thing that makes it unique is its firepower.
No, its ability to travel.
Disagree.
Which is why it was able to travel, I think, farther distances than the normal ship. This lost technology, it could travel farther and do more, and also probably be in a way that's probably not quite as traceable by Empire 2. I'm not exactly sure if that dealt in, but it's very specifically, it's yes, it maybe had some firepower and is very powerful, but I think it could also travel vast distances. Like it looked like what all this is to say is like whatever Gale invoked the Invictus name, which makes me wonder did the Invictus travel? Was it not destroyed? Did it travel to another galaxy? Which is why it was showing me two galaxies in that image and then like a line going through, you know what I'm saying? That's where that's what I'm confused on.
What are you confused on again?
The scene where she mentioned the Invictus and why she mentioned the Invictus.
Oh yeah. I still don't think we're meant to know exactly why.
Yeah. But I think galaxy jumping is something the Invictus can do, but our ships can't.
You want me to read the breakdown of the Invictus?
Yeah.
So in the context of Foundation, it's a fictional ancient Imperial warship that is quite distinct due to several characteristics. Mm-hmm. Age and technological differences. By the time the Foundation encounters it, the Invictus is extremely old, predating many contemporary jump ship technologies. Older jump drive and Ferrinium coolant. Its propulsion system relies on an older model jump drive that requires maintenance using liquid coolant called gelatinous Ferrinium. Augmented navigation. Since it was built before the existence of spacers, individuals who can safely guide jumpers through hyperspace, it required an augmented navigator, really plug in the back, working in conjunction with a sophisticated AI navigation. Jump cradles. Crew members needed to use jump cradles for sedation during jumps with an automated countdown signaling the time to enter the cradle. Weaponry. The ship was equipped with external railguns capable of hitting large targets and an internal defense system of turreted weapons and energy fields to eliminate unauthorized personnel. Crown Jewel status. It was considered the most powerful Imperial weapons platform of its era and the crown jewel of Emperor Taurelian's fleet. Random jumps and ghost ship legend. During its service, the Invictus somehow lost control of its propulsion systems, leading to random jumps across the galaxy. This erratic behavior, combined with the eventual loss of the crew due to dwindled supplies and internal conflict, contributed to its legend as a ghost ship.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't think that it's... The whole point of it was that it was a weapon ship. it jumps around through space randomly because it was created in a time before spacers, but all the ships in the Empire can jump around space just like it.
It was
they just use new technology.
Right. Maybe it's a new thing then that I made up because again, if you give me an image and you invoke its name and you show me what seems like two separate galaxies and you show me a line and I don't think we can travel across galaxies, then it seems like the Invictus has the ability or has gone to like different galaxies before.
Yeah.
And again, it was a ghost ship. It was traveling around randomly. We never saw it, and maybe it came back, and that's why we got a hold of it last time, but who knows where it could have gone. And I would think if that the whole ship is a drive, and it has the ability to jump because it is so big that it has the ability to jump farther than the smaller ships, which are better technology, don't require like all these different things, also are more stable, but it probably can go, in the stability has some limitations in it, right? So this is all just basically me speculating then, because I have no fucking idea, right? And I'm sure someone else can tell me, but this is such a very quick moment that I don't know what to make of it, but that's all I can get. I mean,
I will say this, what we know so far is that in season 2, Brother Day was like fire on Terminus.
Yeah.
And so they used the big weapon capacity to shoot Terminus. We thought killing all our favorite folks from Terminus.
Yeah.
We find out that, Harry had a way to protect them all in the diamond. What's it called again?
Yeah.
Did you call it the drive?
Vault.
The vault. Thank you. In the vault. And then
the cloud.
Maybe kind of. And then what happens, right, is that
Belrios, yeah.
Belrios, God, what a great character, gets in like a literal fist fight with Empire Brother Day.
Yeah.
And sucks him out to space with the space lock using the flip. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, well, fuck this ship. And so he just runs the ship into Terminus to try and, destroy it so that it can't be used or whatever, right? Remember?
I totally forgot that they were on the Invictus that whole time.
Yes, they were the entire time.
I thought they were on an
Invictus.
Empire ship and they were having, that's funny. I thought they shot down the ship, but my memory is faulty. Very, very faulty. It's been a couple of years, right?
So the point I'm getting to is that if you're really looking for answers, which again, I don't think we're meant to have at this point, but if they're talking about Invictus and pointing in the line, maybe pointing at the Invictus is a way of saying like something on Terminus, right? Even though Terminus got nuked and scorched, there's something with the Invictus crashing into Terminus, right? Because
it's something there, because that was the second crisis, right? So I'm
stretching here. I don't know.
It's possible that they were looking at the past, and basically he was saying if we don't fix things, we're heading to, which we already know, like the third crisis, and she basically said the Invictus to again remind us what happened before. You know, or like I think I'm just so confused because I didn't understand the imagery that they were putting on screen.
Totally, I have no idea what the imagery is either. I'm just saying it's sci-fi, so a million things could happen. Maybe the Invictus crashed into Terminus, and then before everything totally blew up and died, the fucking Invictus did another random space jump and teleported the vault with it, or something from Terminus out.
No, the vault is still there. We know the vault is still there. Yes, we've said the same. We've said the same thing. I'm hesitating because I don't want to get too far into the weeds now because we've already gone like so far. You're probably correct. It's quite a possibility. It's also quite possible I'm reading into something that's completely nonsensical.
I mean, why do they mention it if there's not a plot?
That's what I'm saying. Is like, why would they mention it?
I'm with you. I don't think you're being...
also like maybe they were just looking at something from the past and I just totally misread like whatever they were doing. But we were moving on to what is it? Prima and Preem Palva.
The Mallow.
Played by no. Preem Palva is the first speaker. Which so great that a person with a title named the first speaker is deaf.
Speaker? Oh, yes. Yes, thank you.
Because he's filling her in on like what's going on. And we get Prem Palva, played by, we should mention, Oscar winner Troy Kotzer. I only want to bring this up because one of the reasons I love fantasy and sci-fi. It seems that so weird to me that in fantasy and sci-fi we can be more diverse and more accepting and give our imagination is so unlimited that we allow ourselves to say like, yeah, let's have a deaf person play the first speaker. Yeah. You know, and because it's weird because it's like, these people really exist. They're not like a sci-fi concept, you know, but a person that like is signing also feels something somewhat different. But I love the fact that we are able to give people opportunities, you know, cool. And I love seeing them in sci-fi and I love seeing him here, you know, because there's no other ways for a Oscar winner of this caliber to like get roles, I think, in the world that we live in, where we constantly like say like we don't allow people to be disabled, we don't allow people to have like our main characters can never be unless it's about that thing. And I love that we can just put someone that is just happens to be, and it's not about it, right? It's not a show about being deaf or mute or whatever you want to call him, right? Nope. It's just that it's this, and it can be that. The same way where, you know, Peter Dinklage, sure, he had, you know, in the books he's a dwarf, but Peter Dinklage now can play characters where it's not about dwarfism, you know, because of these types of things, because you can see the range and you can see where they're. I just love that. I love awesome. That we have, and this is another thing I love about sci-fi, that they can be diverse and interesting, not just in like, you know, skin tone or gender or anything in how we represented things, but also give ability to other abled people that we don't get to see in our regular thing. And I wish we did it in a modern context as well, but I think it's just great that we get to have it here.
Agree. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And he catches Gail up on what's going on, and they do their thing. I don't know. And she has to, well, we see that she learns that the previous speaker is dead. And then, and I will say that it's very specifically, and we've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it later on. Very specifically, they always talk about the third crisis and the mule separately.
Yes,
is what I've noticed, right? Because it would be easy to make the mule and the third crisis, and for us to be like, well, that's the same thing, but it's not. It very clearly is not. The mule is something that, from what we've seen and from what I can understand, is literally like this manifestation of chaos. Like we don't really understand like how the mule plays into this.
I agree, but I have a slightly different take.
Sure.
I'm not trying to say you're wrong on this one. I think it's just different. I think that they are absolutely aware of some third crisis, and that they are aware of the mule. I don't think that means that the mule isn't going to be the third crisis. I'm not saying he is either.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that I don't think any of our characters, aside from maybe Gale and Harry, have any idea of the gravity of the mule anyways. Mm-hmm. Right. I think it could turn out very well that the mule causes the third crisis.
Well, here's the thing is
right. I do think that's possible. Yeah. I just think our characters don't see that yet.
I don't think so. If only because when Prem and Gale are talking and looking at the thing, and he fills her in on this thing that happened, and that this is where we're talking about the little squiggly branch of whatever.
Chaos.
Right. That has happened ever since Calgon got taken over by the mule.
Yeah.
But that's different because the third crisis is something that they already knew. It was already in the math. It was already there. They could see all the lines. This is something else.
Yeah.
This is something different. And it happened when the mule came, which makes, again, that's a divergence of some sort. This is like, this is different.
But I don't think
it ends.
I agree, but
that's where I think it's different.
I agree. I just don't think that encapsulates the entirety of possibilities that the mule could end up inducing.
Causing.
Right?
Yeah.
Like spoiler alert, but we got a Death Star at the end of the episode.
Well,
If the mule gets
that's what I'm saying. If the
mule gets his hands on it, then I think a lot of the fucking math in the Prime Radiant changes. Right?
Yeah. I also that divergence. We'll get to the thing because I do think it's both yes and no, right? Because I think the mule coming in creates this divergence, but that diverting line comes because of the mule. But it was never the third crisis is always going to happen whether the mule came or not. But something happened with the mule that created this divergence. What this divergence is, I think, is still caused by this moment in Calgon that we get confirmation of here. But I think the divergence is different from the third crisis. I
don't know.
And which is where it's like, it could be, which is where I think that the mule is part of it and is not part of the third crisis. And there's a bunch of it, but we can talk more. This is all what we're,
you're Schrodinger's catting it big time on this one. And I think that's fine. Right. I think that, there's probably a possibility, a series of scenarios where the mule very much is part of the third crisis, and also probably one where he's not.
I just feel like I notice that they always speak of the third crisis and the mule separately. Because otherwise it would,
But that's not necessarily
otherwise,
a
I feel
writer
like
telling
mule,
you. That could be that could very well just be the characters not seeing the truth.
Get in the comments. No, I hear you.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I don't think it's clear yet.
I just don't. Here's the thing.
What was the second crisis?
Terminus.
Right. Did the Emperor ever talk about, or Demerzel talk about Terminus like it was the second crisis?
No one knew
no
one knew what the second crisis was.
That's my point.
We don't know what the third crisis is.
That's my point.
We just know that the mule comes along before the third crisis. And essentially that, do you know what I'm saying? I do. I feel like if we get hung up on, I feel like the mule is important and does lead to the third crisis. I'm being stupid. Leads to the third crisis in a way, but I don't think will actually be the third crisis.
So that's a prediction.
That's because I always feels like it's been separate. I think he's kind of a red herring, and he's a thing that could change things. And as chaos is, he clearly can manipulate and cause diverging lines, apparently, that don't lead to the third crisis, but lead to something else entirely.
Okay.
And I think he comes along the timeline, of the third crisis somewhere, and I guess maybe like his little inflection point is something that sets the stage for what will happen with the third crisis. But I don't think it's him that is the third crisis.
You heard it here first,
what
folks.
I'm saying.
The mule will not be the third crisis.
I don't think I'm saying anything that revolutionary. Am I?
I think that there's
Did you
no
ever
way.
think they were one and the same? That it was going to be one and the same?
No, if that's what you think I'm saying, you've missed what I'm saying too. I'm saying I don't think we have any way of knowing yet.
No, for sure.
I think it very well could be the mule.
I
also think it very well may not be.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, as you mentioned before. I actually think
so many
I think what you
potential
said.
things.
I think what you said last time that Demerzel is going to be the third crisis or something is more important.
They're pulling focus on the mule because it's episode 2.
That's what I'm saying.
But like Demerzel is the real problem with the Empire, right?
Yeah.
100%.
So we'll see.
But that's again, I think we're just being predictive. I don't think we're actually supposed to know.
I think I like speculating either way.
Hell yeah, of course.
That's the fun point. Let's go back to Calgon. They don't mention it, but I think we're back on Calgon. Finish up our foundation thing with we brought this up before.
Hober Mallow's descendants.
Yeah, the actual descendant of Hober Mallow, or I guess one of the descendants. This is Torin Mallow, which I brought up before, was for some reason credited in the first episode, but not actually brought in. So there was obviously a misprint on the IMDb. And Beta Mallow. They are newlyweds. And they're making this so plush now to be a newlywed. The servant comes up and says New-Weds because he doesn't know what newlywed. I'm confused. Is that marriage isn't the strange thing. like Empire almost got married last season, right? It's not but I guess it's gone out of style,
which was 800 years ago.
That's true. 150
or whatever.
yeah. So it's gone out of style. Marriage has gone out of style.
I mean, do you know what was trendy 150 years ago here on Earth? I fucking don't. I for sure don't. But yeah.
So let's make
1875. You know it was hot. I don't know. Sliced bread. I don't fucking know, dude.
Do we want plush to happen? Do you guys want plush to happen? Or should we, or is it, hey, stop trying to make plush happen?
Wow.
Mean Girls it.
Wow.
Let's make plush happen. Let's just do it.
Okay.
That's so plush. It's so in. Newlyweds. Interesting. I don't know what to think about this. But we find that Torrin Mallow wants nothing to do with the traders. Wants nothing to do with Foundation or the crisis, I guess he says. So
yeah.
He's
They're rich and comfortable.
He's rich and comfortable. He's living off of whatever Hober Mallow did. There's more to him, I think, but maybe we'll get to that. But it's very interesting. This is not the Mallow that we were set up after the first season. Apparently, the legend of Hober Mallow lives so big and large that he has this like line, that he has like his whole, he set up the trader alliance of traders and his kid is very rich. His descendant is very rich and comfortable and can ignore war at his footsteps.
Yeah, it's a bummer, right? It's like his descendants, his line now still have all the riz of the Mallow clan that we recognize, but like none of the stand up for the good stuff, it would appear.
Yeah.
He seems to be a little more, the line has been fuckboyified a little bit.
I mean, isn't this the thing that Cleon the First was trying to avoid? By creating himself, but which, as we found now with the Cleon the 24th, it's very much the same thing. It's like, I don't fucking give a shit about your dynasty crisis thing or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's like, you don't hear me. Same thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I will say too, I want to talk about this really quickly just because I think it's possible that there's some folks out there that were as confused as I was about this one part.
Yeah.
So the Beta and who's Hober's? Torrin are on their honeymoon, kind of on like it's like beach chairs or
sunbathing.
Like they're sunbathing, right? And then the Black Tongue drifts above them.
Yeah.
The mule's ship, gigantic.
Yeah.
And blocks out the sun, and now they're in the shade. So they call over their servant, right? And there's this bit of like, can you move the ship? We were enjoying ourselves here and then he's kind of like, well, I'm so sorry you're not enjoying yourself, but maybe it would be easier to just move the towel 6 feet into the sun. And they're like, well, could you help us with that? Whatever. And it's like this weird power thing where I was watching it and I was like, okay, I know that they're being rich, entitled people asking for like a nicer table at a restaurant that doesn't exist, or something like that. Asking for the waiter to fix the sun, something clearly out of his control or whatever, this ship, gigantic thing in the sky. But then like, I didn't know actually what's going on, right? And I asked you like, and then they like point at the two cameras or like these ball things. Yeah. And he's like, oh. And you were saying, you think it's basically like galactic TikTok.
They're making a TikTok.
Yeah, something
he calls
like
it
that.
A scatter. He's like, scatter. Oh, this is a scatter.
Yeah, which is a term that I was like, I don't know about.
No, it's not a thing. It's not real. They're basically, these guys are influencers.
This is Foundation influencers.
These are not, is
that what this is, you think?
Yeah, they're influencers.
Not that I'm surprised. They're exhibiting influencer behavior, absolutely. But I didn't get that. I needed you to tell me. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like, it's almost like Newlywed is a thing that is something that they want to make happen. Like they're trying to be in the zeitgeist of stuff. They're in the perpetual cycle of, this is the most dystopian thing that Foundation has introduced in our sci-fi, is the fact that like thousands of years in the future, we will still be beholden to making content for the fucking internet, just like we're doing right now.
and also it won't
just
matter.
like Sisyphus, we're going to have to be pushing that boulder up the fucking hill over and over and over again just because we enjoy fucking doing it, right?
God.
And so that it can come back down. I think that Sisyphus has come into the zeitgeist more so ever because of content, because people have been talking about more and more. And I'm like, it is because this is what that is. This is us making it content to make more content, to put it on the fucking internet, do a thing. And it's like, we haven't gotten away with it. They're still doing it. They still have to do it because they have to be in the conversation somehow.
Right. And they care more about that than the fascist takeover happening right there in front of their eyes.
Harry, can I go with you to the place where there's no whisper drives and no scatters and none of this?
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I think you got to be a lot better at math than you are right now. I think we all do.
I can learn. That's what that is.
That was helpful. I didn't really get that.
Yeah, very scary moment. I agree. The most scary thing I've seen in all of Foundation is them making it. But yes, I think they're putting on a thing, which is interesting because we play with this idea. There's something. Again, a little bit of a connection to like how they kind of are trying to also, the writers are trying to set us up for Tor Malo to almost feel like an Empire-esque kind of character and like, oh, we're rich and you do what we fucking say. Like, yeah, move the sun. Because if Day had asked for that, you don't ask her to move your towel, you know?
No, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah. And this is essentially them getting us as an audience to be like, oh, is that Torin? Is that the kind of power like he wields? And then you find out like they're just joking. They're not going to do that. Yeah. And they're not going to kill you either, you know, for disobeying.
No, they're pretty
like,
congenial.
They're just making a thing, right? But this is what I'll say. In that comparison of Empire and the Mallows, we're seeing essentially how Empire has become such a joke that they are able to do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but how do you mean in this scenario?
That this kind of, that the world and the galaxy has moved on to where clearly we already know how like religion is no longer the thing of the galaxy, and now it's moved on to, or how also it's specifically Terminus and their stuff. Like there's differences in like how different civilizations move along, you know, and their eras that they're in.
Sure.
We're in an era where Empire doesn't care about fucking Empire. They know the specific Empire, obviously. Day is very specifically saying we're dying out. We're going out of style.
Yeah.
And that style is being made as entertainment.
Yeah.
By these younger influencers in a way of not only just like introducing us to like the kind of power and how it changes hands, but it's also going into like an aristocratic form, less of a a fascist form, you know, even though they were joking and stuff, but that it is like showing like how this kind of thing is kind of made fun of, that it was the order of the day. And like 150 years ago, you probably wouldn't have said, no, like I won't move the ship. I would like, you wouldn't have suggested moving because this kind of person could have had you killed or whatever.
Sure.
No, we're not in that. You know, you make fun of that. You know, we're not those kinds of people. You know, so there's something there. I'm not exactly sure how to make it, but you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah. And that Empire has gone out of style. This kind of mentality has gone out of style, that it's just become a joke on the scatter net.
Scatterverse, yeah.
The scatterverse. Oh God. Whatever. But yeah, like they're making a scatter. They go inside. He's even like editing it, you know, like as like she sits down, he's like, oh, a coup is the place to be, or whatever he says, right? Just being, they chose their honeymoon here. It's almost as if they did it because of the coup. Just because they knew it would make great content.
Place for good content.
Yes, which is wild.
I mean, not the, yeah.
So, these are very much like the influencer types. There's a little bit something, and I think we'll get more into it later. There's a little bit something that I don't think I think she really likes this life and wants to be an influencer. It's almost like they're on their ship, by the way. When they go in, they're like, oh, our ship is, I love the new voice of the ship, it's named, and she's like, I'll call it Sweetheart.
Cool.
So the ship is called Sweetheart. I'm sure that'll be a fun, more fun jokes when we get to talk to the ship later on. There was like a small little joke where he says, thank you, sweetheart, or I love you, sweetheart. And she says, thank you. The ship answers. Right. But the point is like, it feels like Beta really likes this life and doing this kind of like van life influencer thing, kind of whatever, we're newlyweds. They're in the honeymoon phase or whatever. He, I think, is, if I see anything, struggling a little bit with the weight of his name and like where he should be. And I think he's understanding is like, I'm in a place where like, a coup is happening and I'm just making scatters or whatever, because he brings up, what do you think this coup is about? Like, do you think it has anything to do with the traders? And she's like, I don't really give a shit. And he's like, well, my uncle would give a shit. The uncle with the one arm, if you weren't sure about that, right? Of how they're related. And now we know. And so he seems a little bit like, maybe I should give a shit.
Yes.
Even though we're told he doesn't, but there's something there that tells me that he does.
There's something about the fuckboy way that doesn't sit right with him. It feels a little shallow.
Yeah.
Like he's made to live for something a little more, maybe.
Yeah. I think that, and again, the great thing about Foundation, we have genetic dynasty, we have generational things happening. And now this is one of the first characters that we've had where it's a descendant of characters that we've known before, of one that had a very big impact and has shaped the galaxy without cloning themselves or doing whatever, like literally as their descendant. And I think that's going to come into play, obviously, in a show about genetic dynasty and Foundation, and building upon like what comes later, Yeah. It feels like that's going to be like weighing on him and very important going on. Right. And again, Han comes in and has an offer. It just kind of like shows up, and makes a note of like, oh, you guys don't seem scared after I told you like who I am, and that your things won't work around me or whatever. A very interesting thing we're setting up. I am actually really liking this dynamic with these characters.
Yeah. And
I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode where I'm assuming they're going to go meet the mule and stuff.
They're going to get involved somehow, right?
Like, yeah.
And we're going to watch what happens with, it's so Han Solo.
Yeah.
Where it's like, not just the Han character from Foundation, but also Hober's descendants, right? It's like, they're comfortable. They do what they want or whatever. And then, I think the injustice is going to hit and they're going to realize that they unfortunately can't just stand by and watch. Right?
Yeah. And again, as long as we're doing comparisons and mirrors and stuff, we have Han come in and try and kind of convince these two, like, don't you understand like where you are? Like, and you guys are too comfortable. You don't care, whatever. He's compelling them. Is he not? Just like the mule, but different. He doesn't need to use like mind tricks or, or whatever, but he's trying to compel them to get him on their side.
He's appealing to their conscience.
Yeah. He's appealing in a certain way. He's like, he's like, the air has gone stale. The common people are, afraid, and you guys are too rich, too callow, too complicit. And I think specifically, if anything does speak into whatever, Mallow has been dealing with, in that like, this is not the life that I want to live. And I think there's a sense of adventure into kind of going on to, which I love. I love that adventure. Again, we got swashbuckling before. Now we're going to get like this call to adventure. I think we're being recruited. They're going to do some fun stuff.
We're getting swashbuckling.
They know what they're doing. And he's like, oh, but they're going to think it's the fucking traitors. And I wonder, he's like, oh, wait a second. That's why you're doing it. And he likes that game. Yeah. He loves these games that he's doing. So I love that. that we're having fun.
It's going to happen.
And he convinces them by appealing to their, and I love that. And I do think that if we're, and I hope that we get some scenes between Han and the mule, and I'm sure we will, but this compelling nature between these two characters, as much as I'm sure Gale is important and going to be the one that fights the mule, I'm much more interested in this way that two different people can appeal to and manipulate in different ways coming to a head.
Sure.
Is all I'm saying. And I can't wait to see what goes on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the specific comparison is there's the people who make you feel compelled through coercion, right? Psychic or otherwise. And then there's people who compel you through reason, through an appeal to justice, what is good and
your
right.
empathy, right?
Your conscience.
That's essentially,
it's a cool theme.
I mean, is that not the ongoing battle of media in general, right? Of like, can you empathize with these characters or these people? You know, do we choose to, you know, if there's any sort of message to get out of any of the things that we watch, it's about like, can you learn to care? Can you learn to love? Can you learn to empathize? Both in these characters, can you care about something more than yourself? Whereas the mule is representing, as we said before, he wants to be loved. He wants to be loved. He's not going to sacrifice himself for anyone else, right? He's not going to, you know, he's selfish. He has things that he cares about, and he wants it all to his own.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he's Machiavellian in a big way. His might is right.
Yeah,
I'm more powerful.
Yeah,
so love and respect me.
Yeah, and it seems that obviously we're going here. It's like, we're setting up these characters to be the complete opposite of that. These are the people that will, you know, bring on the message of, hey, you know, whatever, get a little cheesy here. It's like hope wins, love wins, empathy wins, you know, that kind of thing is possibly where we're going with that kind of thing, you know, because that's just human nature, right? If we, at the end of the day,
or not, and it's really bleak.
Yeah, or it's really bleak, or they're just going to make a TikTok out of it.
Yay content.
Anyway, well, that's why we love these shows, and I wouldn't be talking about Foundation if it didn't have some sort of that. You know, if we need some humanity in there in order for us to believe. And I do like these characters, but that does bring us finally to Empire, and a lot of big revelations here, where we pick up basically exactly where we left off.
Yeah.
You know, they're in media, whatever conversation they were having, they were just told that this is going to lead to your extinction. And Day doesn't seem to give a shit. He's like, well, I always knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Day is still on his fucking, you know, Coachella weekend. Just going hard on the spores and with his prostitute dealer best friend, you know, I don't know. I mean, they haven't really made that relationship super clear.
Yeah.
He's gambling. Mm-hmm. He's got his ferret pal. Mm-hmm. And he's incredibly apathetic, right?
Yeah.
We're just dolls dressed up.
Yeah.
You know,
he says, I always knew we were headed to nothingness.
Yeah.
He said, kiss the void, brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about this scene is we also learn more about, again, as you mentioned before, how much they actually know, right? So, again, I'm very clear now that the only people that know about the mule, and we'll get to the very end, but right at this point, our understanding is the only people that know about the mule are the Second Foundation. Other people have heard of the mule. I think Han has heard of the mule, and they know that he's called by that name. But I don't think that Han is still trying to figure out, like, what is the mule's deal.
I don't know if that's true, but I might be wrong.
I don't think the Empire know who the mule is, but they don't know it in the context of the Foundation as because they don't know.
They just know he took Culkin.
Because they're speculating now, and again, I know that Don knows about the mule. He knows about the name, the mule, right? He knows.
No, because he has the conversation with the ambassador, and the ambassador and him are talking about how the mule took Culkin.
They know about the mule now.
Yes.
They don't know about the mule, the premonition of the mule destroying everything.
Oh, in the context of the Prime Radiant. You mean?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. Sorry.
No one else knows that.
I agree.
They only know that the mules come here and we know now that Dawn has.
Sorry.
We know by the end of the episode that Dawn has been told to keep a lookout for the mule. At the very least, he knows the name.
Should we just talk about the Dawn stuff?
I don't want to talk about it just yet, but I think at this point, because the rest of them don't, because he tries to say like, well, maybe this thing on Calgon is part of the reason why this thing is happening, but they're unsure. None of them know. Otherwise, they would care about what's going on with the mule, which is why I think Dusk doesn't give a shit. Day doesn't give a shit. And even Demerzel is not sure who the mule is. She doesn't have premonitions, right? So that at least is telling me where the other characters fall in terms of this mule thing. And I think Dawn, while he does know, we can get into that revelation later, is only speculating of what this thing is. We also see that how Day, as you mentioned before, and they are all kind of very aware of like who they are, that Demerzel, I think I was under the impression that their memory might have been more or less kind of erased in like Demerzel's kind of thing. And now somewhere along the line, they've realized that like Demerzel, I think after getting the Prime Radiant and because that they've been doing what she says in terms of this Prime Radiant all this time for 100 years or 150 years, they realize that they're just puppets, that she is running the show, that the Cleon dynasty is bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
And he even looks at this and just thinks he calls it an it. He never will say she. Very different from the days we've had before. And obviously how the Cleon kind of has, the genetics have, I think, caused them to love Demerzel the same way that the first Cleon did, in the same way that she was programmed to love the Cleons in a way. You know, this was a Cleon that clearly loved himself and loved Demerzel to an extent that he could stay with Demerzel forever. And this is very different. Day is not having that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a very interesting insight into who this Day is and how much, what his hatred has gone to different places. It used to be that he hated humanity. It felt like he looked down on humanity.
Who?
Day.
The current Day, you mean?
Other days.
Or just days in general?
Days in general. Kind of, you know, because they're above that, right? They're the genetic dynasty. It's like, we don't give a shit about anything but ourselves. Even Dawn says, Dawn is challenged later on by Shelley, right? I don't forget the character's name, but she's like, oh, you care about what's going on in Calgon because you care about the people? It's like, no. Don't get it twisted. I don't care about the people. I still care about Empire and ourselves. That's it. I'm just worried, you know? There's an idea that like, they don't care about humans. They don't care about whatever throughout of Empire's timeline. This is a switch where Day seems to care more about humans and cares less about the dynasty and cares even less about a robot, you know, that he still has the capacity to kind of have like this hatred, right? But it's been turned, is what I've noticed. It's really been turned. It's still very similar because Day can still be Day. It's still a Cleon. It's still a person that has this capacity for disgust and whatever. It's just been put somewhere else.
I mean, to me, this Day is just purely apathetic, though.
Sure.
And nihilistic. I don't know. I don't see any of that stuff. I see him just completely detached.
We'll talk about it later. Well, let's move on. Let's go to Day.
Okay.
Let's go to Day, and then we'll go to Dusk, and we'll go to Dawn, because I think those are all the big revelations, right? So Day, we follow Day into the gambling thing. Mm-hmm. I think this is again a place where you would not normally see a Day.
No,
is with the kind of the people, the soldiers, kind of doing their thing, gambling with them and making friends.
I mean, he's congenial.
I think he seems to care a little bit. He seems like limited by his things. He like this soldier shows him a picture of his daughter.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly understand the situation, but he's like, if I could, I guess, let you see her, or I guess get her, or whatever. He's like, I would. And the soldier's like, it's fine. I understand, but he can't do that. So he's like limited in what he's allowed to do as Day for some reason. I don't exactly understand what's going on there, but he cares. He cares enough about this general. He seems to like not even, I wonder what the limits of his care are, but it doesn't seem completely apathetic to, like, I think we are meant to believe that he's apathetic towards everything. He doesn't care. But I think at the end of the day, like we're getting some reasons for him to care.
Yeah. I mean, in this scene, he's gambling.
Yeah.
With priceless Empire heirlooms.
Yeah.
And losing them happily.
Yeah.
Which is another way of saying making donations.
Well, did you notice they threw the game?
Yeah.
On purpose.
But he didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. A small little nod that there's there's still, yeah. Was he cheating? When he took that out, he didn't do it surprisingly. Like, didn't know how the game was played.
Cheating. I think he's cheating. I think that they're also cheating. But I think that the point is that he doesn't care because he's just letting the heirlooms go.
Yeah.
And he's like, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't care about Empire, though.
Right. He's like, I'm here to fucking socialize.
Yeah.
Do spores and have a couple chuckles with people on a very, very not stratified kind of way.
But I think okay.
Right.
Anything else? First of all, that ferret apparently goes around with him everywhere. Yeah. We're going to see more of that ferret apparently, because that was also talked about on Seth Meyers. So like that was such a fun little moment. I love that the ferret cares about this ferret apparently. Right. I love that they kind of cheat or kind of throw the game, but like still win. Yeah, he doesn't care, but I don't know if he noticed that the soldier. It seems secretive. I don't know if he picked up on it. I
doubt it personally.
If you're unsure what I'm talking about, like he taps his cards and then everyone kind of folds their hands, right?
Yeah.
Which was a clear message, like don't fight him on this one.
Let him have it.
Yeah. But he still wanted to win, so he wins the whole pot. This soldier, right? I think it was more of just to get Day to be done, right?
Yeah.
Like we need to finish this game and so he can leave,
Yeah. And I think also they're concerned about like taking more from him than they will pay for it. I think they're at a point where they're like, we can get this heirloom, whatever it was, the trinket looking thing. But I think that they're afraid of like, if we push our luck, if we push our luck too far, if we go beyond this or something, then I think
which is, as with most days, would be a concern. He even says like, hey, don't forget, if you guys steal from me, I can have you all. I disemboweled is what he says, and they all laugh about it. But there is something where I'm like, at first I was like, man, how manipulative this Day is that he would like do that. And he's gonna, there's more moments where we're like, hey, remind us who Day is. And like another Day would have had them disemboweled. Another Day would kill his prostitute for knowing too much, or all this that when he says you're no danger from me, he's like, hey, don't forget guys, I can have you disemboweled. There's something that at first tells me that he's kidding himself, that he's pretending to be this whatever, and he's trying to convince himself that like I'm not that person anymore, but eventually he's gonna have to revert back to the old Day, which is what I said like last week, which is a little bit scary. It's like, yeah, at any point he's on the precipice of the balance of the scales where it could tip to him being actually really angry at these people and really doesn't. But now, after seeing what the soldier did and whatever, I was actually surprised. I was on the lookout. I was like, am I going to see this quote unquote sugar bowl in another scene later? That they're watching over him, that the reason that they're kind of manipulating him because they're being told to, I don't know if it's by say Demerzel or Dusk or Dawn or any combination of those three, that they're they're not afraid of him because he really is just not going to do anything. He really doesn't give a shit. He really isn't going to disembowel anyone. It's all a fucking joke to them, but they're still watching him. They're still having to keep tabs on him, and they're going to take the heirloom and they're going to take it back to Demerzel because like, he's like, hey, maybe. Does Demerzel know you're doing this? And he's like, I don't really give a shit. But I assumed later on we were going to see this soldier like bring it to Demerzel, or we're going to see it somewhere where it shows up and we're like, oh, that they were playing the whole time, that they weren't allowing his earnings and winnings to actually go anywhere, that they're just kind of placating him, which is a very interesting thing. I'm not sure. I might just be reading too much into that, but that's what I thought. Right. Which also, if that's true, means that like, oh, he really is actually just not scary anymore. Yeah. That you can laugh about this, that he's not actually maybe going to hurt someone, which I thought was eventually going to come to a head, but I don't know. Or
they're cheating and keeping it because he's not scared of them anymore.
Or something. Yeah. Right. It's interesting dynamics.
I don't know either if they're cheating and like letting him not win or whatever, but it's like, I think the point is definitely that like there used to be this decorum and edge with everyone used to have around Empire, especially Day, not this day, all days, right? Because he's the one calling the shots. Yeah. And that's just not the case with this one. Not anymore. Yeah. He just wants to do drugs and play cards.
Yeah. But I think it's different too if he were there and doing that and they were just all friends. I think they're still, to a certain extent, they have to answer to someone. And if not this day, they're answering to someone. I think we're going to find out later, like who they're answering to. That they're not really friends, that they've just been like appeasing him for a time, which is going to suck for him. You know, now I'm going to feel bad for him when they're like, oh, I actually cared about you and your kid and all these things, and you weren't actually my friend. I don't know. That's what that's where I'm getting with that. And I think I'm
curious.
I'm like, at first I was like, I thought he was going to turn on them. And now I'm like, oh, I think everyone else is going to have to turn because they're working for someone else and he's going to be hurt by that, which is going to be an interesting twist, I think, on the whole thing. That's all I'm saying.
Or it could be that he finally finds friends.
Oh, Day just wants some friends. We'll see. He does go back to Song, kind of fills her in on, hey, there's this extinction event coming, apparently, you know?
Couple of weeks.
Okay, I'm just gonna jump to it. You know, this is important scene because we kind of again get an idea of like how much he doesn't care. Dusk comes in and talks to him, tries to apologize. And also we kind of skipped, we'll get to it, but like we can kind of transfer to it now. But Dusk is trying to appeal to stopping this ascension because like, you guys need me around.
There's a big event coming up.
Yeah.
You don't want to do this alone.
Which is why I said last week that this ascension is not going to happen because
you did make that prediction.
And I didn't think though that it was going to come from Dusk. I didn't think that Dusk would be the person trying to stop the ascension. I knew that he would embrace not being stopped because of course he could live longer, but I didn't realize that everyone would agree and that the ascension would keep going and that Dusk would be the one that would try and convince everyone that's a little bit of I'm like, oh, that's interesting coming from him. And I think that, I thought maybe Day would do it. I knew Dawn probably wouldn't be the one that suggested it because he wants to be Day, clearly. And I thought Dusk might agree, you know, obviously it makes sense. He's the wise leader, but I didn't realize he would be the one kind of doing this. I love this line delivery by Demerzel earlier on.
The clock.
The coldest fucking line ever. She's like, of all my many functions, I am a clock. And does she say? Time.
And I keep very good time.
Essentially. I am a clock. The time I keep is exact.
I am the clock for every Cleon's life. Yeah. And the time I keep is exact.
Yeah.
That has got to be, I guess we can talk about what it means in the context of the show, but if you want a line that encapsulates that science fiction, cold, horrific struggle against artificial intelligence or the machine or technology, I mean, my God, that's that moment.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, just first of all, reminding of your own mortality, right? It's like time stops for no one.
But also
but especially this Cleon.
Not just that I stop your time.
Yeah.
It's not that, oh, you'll someday die. It's like, no, I decide exactly when you die.
Yeah.
Because we've already mapped the amount of time that I think it is appropriate and, most optimal for you to live.
Yeah.
It's fucking bleak.
Yeah. Just again, very cold line delivery coming from that robot. Just being like, hey, you're going to die. So, and you can't stop it. Sorry.
Right. It's right. And it's like, it's also funny because that's in sequence in the episode. He talks to her first.
Yes. And then
she gets this.
Yeah.
So then he goes to Day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about
the great
this situation.
Yeah,
look at it's nice having it come to me for once. Okay.
Yes.
He's like, by the way, I've been thinking.
Yeah.
With this imminent collapse, we know in a couple weeks or months, maybe I shouldn't die. And Day stabs himself in the fucking arm. The big old knife. Long ways, the gnarly, the say goodnight way.
Yeah.
And two things there. One, so he, as if to say, and says, that line that I'm obsessed with, where dolls dressed up in, monsters, whatever.
Yeah.
Two things. One, there's new technology.
Yes.
Empire now.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a force field.
Yeah. They had a shield before.
He's just literally, his body can insta heal him. He's like fucking Wolverine.
Nanonites or nanotechnology.
Crazy. Cool.
Yeah.
But two, hey, brother, I know how meaningless this life seems just as much as you do, but that don't mean that you get to live longer.
Yeah.
Cold as fuck.
Oh, he's very specific. And this is again where we talked about like, oh, why are they on the 24th when they really should be on like the 20th or 21st, it's because they live shorter. The cognitive, we die because cognition declines much earlier.
Or at least Demerzel claims.
That's what you're saying. That would, yes, it's for sure.
That
whatever they believe.
A cognitive failing, right?
I have to assume that it's true. I don't think it's true.
I don't think it's necessary. I think that means on what you consider to be decline meaning, right? Because you're more sensitive, because you're more empathetic, because you become more human when you know you're getting closer to dying.
Because
right? So Demerzel, of course, sees that as suboptimal. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually
suboptimal.
less than.
It definitely doesn't go for her directive, which is to let the Cleon dynasty keep going.
This is the point I'm making.
Yeah, sure.
And so then, anyways,
so
then towards the end of the episode, Dusk, this is like, the kid who wants to do the sleepover. So he goes to the parent that he thinks is finally going to give it to him. Gets told no by mom. Gets told no by dad. So he goes to the younger brother and is like, hey, I got a present for you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that Day can't be here for you putting on your robe or whatever the ceremony is, but I've always been here for you.
Yeah.
And I care about Empire, so I'm going to be here for you.
Yeah. Again, some more compelling nature for you.
And so all of a sudden,
there's 3 ways to do this.
All of a sudden now we have another tactic that might keep him alive for a couple more weeks.
Yeah. Can it happen? Yeah. Yep. Interesting.
That's awesome.
I do like the idea that perhaps Demerzel has been telling them the cognitive decline has been happening sooner. But yeah, it's very interesting that it is that I'm the fact that Day just doesn't give a shit. Here's the thing.
Wait. Just if we're going to entertain my thought that Demerzel is cutting life short, I'm just fucking saying, okay? They're not Day anymore. Why do they need to die? Like, you can keep them alive and just being like, you don't get executive decisions.
It's just a. But
the utility in fucking murdering them right away feels
just
like
how it works.
You're trying to sweep stuff under the rug.
That's just how it works because Day needs to become Dusk, and you can't have 2 Dusks. So you don't want all of them going around and trying to, it's, hey, we are all one and the same. I don't know. I don't know.
But utility, right? It's like, well, but you get nothing. I mean, Dawn's going to be a little baby.
Yeah.
The new Dawn,
sure.
right? So at this point, essentially, you have a baby, totally incapable of adding anything to political or executive function.
Yeah.
Dusk, who's newly become day.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's 26, just starting to rule. Very impressionable.
Yeah.
And then Day, who is very fucking over it, right? That's a coup.
Yeah.
You're literally creating the weakest political scenario for yourself, Demerzel.
Demerzel's there.
Try and,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe she did that. And maybe it's her fault that they do that.
That's the only point I'm making.
Who knows? Or maybe it's the will of Cleon the First that this has to happen. Otherwise, like, who knows what'll happen, right?
He got to live longer. And he technically didn't die. He's in cryo or whatever.
He's definitely something.
Or maybe his intelligence is uploaded and it's not actually cryo. Whatever. We're not going to get into that. Forget I said that.
There's a third thing. You mentioned two things that this reveals in this scene.
Yeah.
There's a third thing that I think is revealed in the scene.
What did I miss?
I could be very mistaken.
Oh, we got a hot take coming?
Song is pregnant, right?
If that's true, I missed it entirely.
Here's the thing. I was going to preface this, but I'm trying to be very good about saying the thing and not prefacing first.
Sure.
We have been known, me specifically, I won't throw you under the bus. I've been known.
If I deserve to be put under the bus, put me under.
I've been very wrong as a man of knowing when or when not someone is pregnant, right? When a woman is or is not pregnant, I'm not exactly sure.
As a man, I try very hard not to know.
But I cannot tell, or I couldn't tell before, but there's a very specific moment when he slashes his arm.
Yes.
And we cut to Song, surprised, obviously, and she puts a hand on her stomach.
Yeah.
And that stomach does look, it felt very specific. And if I could look at her, I was like, maybe that belly is pregnant. I don't know. But now I'm realizing why he keeps Song around, like why things are happening and where his care is kind of coming from and why he wants to, as he said before, like, I just want to leave. Let me go to your world where you were made. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go away. I think she's pregnant.
Wow. I mean,
and I think someone might have spoiled it for me because I think someone else noticed because somewhere in our TikTok, someone commented that I think kind of alluded to the fact that they also thought that he was going to have a child because of whatever. I don't know if anything's been confirmed somewhere and I just ignored it because it wasn't exactly a spoiler. It's kind of vague, but I'm not exactly sure if it's been confirmed anywhere. But that also kind of maybe helped that I'm not the only one that noticed this. I haven't gotten a full picture of her belly. I don't know if she's got full on pregnant belly.
Yeah.
But I think she's pregnant.
I mean, if that's true, what do we know about like fetal spore syndrome?
Right.
She's been hitting the drugs pretty hard.
I think it's a little different. I think it's a little different from like smoking or drinking, right? But there's a reason like he's like. But that's why he keeps her now. Like that would make sense why he keeps her so close, why he tells her everything, why he doesn't give a shit about Empire anymore. We know that he kind of actually maybe wants to do this on his own.
I'm not saying no, but because I didn't notice this and it doesn't sound unthinkable to me. I like this take.
Yeah.
But devil's advocate, she is his drug dealer. I'm serious.
It's not about drugs though, but
she's supplying him
lover though,
and lover,
yes,
right. So it's like there is other reasons ostensibly he's keeping her around. Now I think this is a lot more compelling, and also holy shit, what an interesting like. I hope you're right. I think it'd be cool as shit if she was.
It seemed like a very specific shot to do a wide shot and to have her hand go to her stomach in a scared fashion, like she was just about to lose the father of her child.
I missed this entirely. Fuck.
I might be reading into it, and this is again, I'm very bad at this thing, but I think that's it. And that would also explain to me like this conversation before where he's like, newborns, man. You know, he's like, I'm gonna like he's thinking about the new dawn that's coming and that he's gonna, and he's like, I'll bounce him off my knee or off the wall or whatever. But he's also he also doesn't want to be there. He wants to leave Empire, which we know is probably impossible, but now he's like, with extinction on the rise and whatever, like he just wants to get away. And I think like this whole time I was thinking like, oh, he's going to have to, faced with the extinction, he's going to become the old day. I was like, no, I think he's just going to care about extinction. He's going to care about humanity and the humanity of his lover and his child, to now I'm going to have to fight the mule, or I'm going to have to fight whatever it is to stop this extinction. I think there's something there where I'm like, yeah, he doesn't give a shit about Empire. He doesn't give a shit about robots, but he might actually start caring about his own
real
kids.
dynasty.
Yeah. His own. Yeah. The fact that he could end the dynasty,
a real legacy,
by creating or something. I don't know, but there's that.
I mean, we know some Cleons have been inclined in this way.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Our day from season 2, 16, was it? 17?
17.
17?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very much wanted to have his own real heir.
Yes, but he wasn't doing it out of love either, right? And we saw that Dusk was actually in love with, and they actually escaped.
No, he was doing it because
I'm sorry, Dusk. I'm sorry, Dawn was in love.
Correct,
with, and
but
Dawn
Day was doing it.
And Dawn actually escaped with the bride to be, if I recall correctly. People have been bringing up like, will we ever see or hear from this Dawn again? Which I don't think we will. But will there be a cousin? Right, a cousin, a cousin Dawn, to this baby, a distant cousin, a descendant cousin, right? Will we figure out? Who knows, right? Yeah, I think that changes how I thought about this day and whether or not she was actually in danger. It's like, that's why she's in no danger of him, because she's carrying his child.
This is a huge game
He would
changer.
never. I think so.
Yeah, I'm not saying I missed this entirely, but I'm not saying impossible.
Yeah,
I just missed. I think it's one shot, but I mean, there's at least 2 scenes I need to rewatch tonight now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll confirm or deny it later on in the season, probably episode 3, and I can be completely wrong, and it's quite possible because I'm a man and I'm terrible at this. I'm sure if. I'm sure
ladies, get in the comments.
Either
was she pregnant?
Either a woman,
are we projecting?
Either a woman is being like, you're so fucking stupid right now, or they're like, I already noticed the first time I saw her. What are you talking about?
She's been pregnant for every single minute. Yeah, maybe.
And then I'm like, oh well.
Can you believe that? We're gonna like cut back and be like, yeah, season 1, episode 1, scene 3. Yeah,
they knew. They had that intuition.
That's embarrassing.
They always know. I'm sorry, women. Anyway,
we're sorry. That's true.
Yes, Dusk goes and he's like, I'm gonna do the robe thing to you. You're gonna have the ceremony, and he's like, oh, I always knew that day was gonna be a problem, but I would be honored to robe you.
Yeah.
Yep. No, there's something going on there.
But it also makes sense, right? In the context of these 3, this Dawn, Day, Dusk.
Yes.
Dusk very much cares about Empire still.
Yes.
And is very frustrated with Day being so apathetic or whatever we've decided he is. And Dawn very much wants to be a good leader, right? Mm-hmm. So it does make sense to me that the 2 of them kind of find each other and that he's like grandfathering him a little bit and being like, I'm sorry, your dad isn't being a good dad right now, even though I know they're brothers, please, and they're the same fucking person. but that's the dynamic, right?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, he's not doing your job. I'm going to take you under the wing a little, right? Both because I care about Empire and because I don't want you to fucking kill me. But I think it makes sense that these 2, Dawn and Dusk, this specific Dawn and Dusks, share a concern for Empire that the current day just does not have.
Yeah.
And that connection feels earned to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. They're going to conspire a little maybe or have some secrets. I have a question for you, because part of this conversation, and this is just an embarrassing plot point thing. Dusk is like, I have a gift for you. And Dawn is like, ooh, what is it? And he's just like, when the time comes. Smash cut to a very, very powerful looking space station that does things that we can talk about now or later.
No, what's going on? Yeah.
And it's like, look, without beating around the bush, it's a Death Star.
Yeah.
A thing. It's cooler than a Death Star in that it has harnessed a black hole.
So it's a death black hole.
Yes, it is. It literally is a weapon.
Yes.
That has a black hole.
Yes.
And they have found a way to feed light into it. And then harness that contained power, and in this case, then shoot and blow up a planet. Or does it blow it up? We'll get to that in a second. But my question, it's really simple.
Okay.
I think the cut makes it seem like this is the indication.
Sure.
Is that the gift?
Yes.
That one day will be?
Yeah.
Or is that just a cut that we're meant to think is the gift, and Dusk has something else up his sleeve?
No, I think that's the gift.
That's the
gift.
gift.
I think so interesting that the Great Conciliator would be this person to make it, right? The person that's been apparently all about peace and apologies and just getting people to, be right with each other, has found a way to do that in his own words, through a huge weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And, we get this engineer, doctor, scientist guy. I think they call him an engineer or something.
Yeah. He's got some incredible lines.
He's the scarier person in this entire scene because the way that he talks about this. I mean, I know we just saw Oppenheimer.
But you're so right.
And the guy
line is
who's
so
like,
Oppenheimer.
"Oh, I have become the destroyer of worlds," kind of thing, But like he seemed at least in the movie of Oppenheimer, a little bit more reluctant into this new space that he's brought himself in. Whereas like this guy wants the power. He's glad of what he made, and he is so desperate to fucking show it off and have it do what it's meant to fucking do. Dusk says this is just a deterrent. As we know, this is how nuclear weapons work, right?
That's always the way nukes work. Yeah.
So we're going into that territory. First of all, like, who else has? It's very Star Wars, but also not going to be unlike the nuclear bomb of America.
And also, we don't know if it was in the book, but written well before Star Wars.
No, it definitely was. Yeah. I don't know if this comes from the book either. Please let us know.
Yeah,
right. Again, I haven't read the book. Right. This could be another made up fiction. But if it did,
I'm assuming
of course,
if I'm being honest, I'm assuming it's not. It feels pretty central.
Yeah. You assuming it's not in the book?
No, I'm assuming it is.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think
like
it is. Yeah, obviously the Death Star would be kind of very much inspired by another thing that can destroy whatever, right? We never escape.
And also
it.
plot-wise, it feels important because we have the mule who just took over a planet.
Well, here's the thing,
and we have people that might want to get rid of him but can't fight him one-on-one, and there happens to be a big thing in the sky where you just push a button and a planet goes bye-bye.
Yeah.
So it feels pretty useful and relevant.
Here's the thing. I think we've stumbled upon the extinction event.
Yeah, sure.
I think this is the thing because no one else knows about it.
Yeah.
Except for Dusk and these engineers at this point. Everyone else is being like, what is going on with this one branch of the timeline that's apparently the end of all things? Well, what else could cause that besides a contained black hole we're trying to fucking control? You don't think that that's going to go wrong at all?
Okay,
you don't think that literal death in your hands is gonna, I don't know, blow up in your face in some way?
Mattias, you're a prophet.
I'm sorry. Asimov, did you read Chekhov's Black Hole? Did you put a shotgun in the fucking fireplace and say, oh, we're not going to use it?
We're not going to shoot it. So I gotta say too, I gotta jump in here, right?
Yeah.
So earlier in the episode, Demerzel's staring at the Prime Radiant, the copy that Harry gave them.
Yeah.
And is going, there's something happening here that I can't see in my vision. My vision's blocked, or there's like these variables, whatever, right? How the fuck does Demerzel not know about this Death Star black hole gun? How is this possible? She has her hand in everything. She runs this shit. And also, it's not like, Dusk hired two guys to make a pistol. It's a fucking gigantic black hole harnessing space station. This is massive. Obviously, it would take massive resources, organization, and all this shit. Mm-hmm. How do all of them, not just Demerzel, how does Day and Dawn not know about it?
Yeah,
what is going on
How
here?
does anyone in the galaxy, like this something's up here?
Hey,
I don't
we built
know.
this ship. It's harnessed a black fucking hole.
And I think-
Every now and then we pump energy into it, and then planets go bye-bye. Don't worry about it.
Here's the thing: this being kept a secret is not quite unbelievable. I mean, we just watched Andor, where it took a lot just to figure out what are they fucking doing, which is like episodes long of 2 seasons, basically, of figuring out like what is the Empire doing.
Sure.
So in this context, can this do? I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels. I mean, space is large. He has kept it a secret from everyone. This has to have been an undertaking from when he was Day, that he might have, or at least when he was Dawn. Like, I can't imagine that this was done within the past like 2 years or 4 years or something.
No, I mean, to my point,
Mm-hmm.
and to the point you're making right now. This is the kind of project that looks like it would span centuries.
Yeah,
right?
I don't.
How do they all not know about it? Right?
Has this been the mural that all Dusks have been like keeping secret over and over again?
Is there some secret you learn once you become Dusk? Is it like a Dusk secret?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe. But even then, Demerzel would still know. I think, right?
I don't.
Right.
Maybe.
And there never came up a time when Day was like, "No, let me see the spreadsheet. Why'd we spend $6 trillion the last 120,000 years into some project on the Outer Reach?"
That's
like nobody.
There is some unbelievability here.
I'm willing to go with it. I'm just saying why. Give me a reason.
I have to wonder if this is in the books, if only because it seems like I'm a little worried that this is becoming a sci-fi trope. Oh, another world destroying thing is just something that was kind of thrown in there. Sure. I don't know where this comes in. I'm a little skeptical because it's so big and so destructive, and we see what it does. They demonstrate it. And I have to imagine, and you, I think, brought this up before the pod, I have to imagine if you just disappear a fucking planet, that someone's going to notice in a galaxy that's been mapped. Right. That we have to know where things are in order to travel around the fucking galaxy.
Exactly. Even if it's uninhabited and there are no valuable resources on it and it's not in proximity of something inhabitable, even then, a planet just randomly goes boom.
Yeah.
And the source from which is apparently pretty close.
Sure.
Because it didn't show him teleporting out.
Yeah.
The source is like everybody on, what's the name of the homeworld planet again? Trantor.
Yeah.
Everybody on Trantor really see this black hole up and then a beam go flying off into the galaxy. I don't think
they're within orbit. Where does this take place, right? I don't think they're within orbit of Trantor. How did he get here? How long did it take him to get here? I don't know. This has to be in the middle of nowhere space. This is the Los Alamos of fucking.
That's hilarious. But even then, and like I agree. Okay, I will say I grant you that, because obviously it can't be on like South Trantor, because then everyone would be like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that giant thing?" Of course, but if Dusk is taking a trip out to Los Alamos, East Galaxy every month or two, Demerzel and everybody is going to be like, "What the fuck are you doing out there, man?"
I would think
he has guards. He has attachés. He has a posse.
There's some suspension of disbelief I have to have here for this whole thing in general, right?
Yeah.
Of to being built and whatever. And this is where I'm like, okay, where does the logic begin or end in terms of like how he's been doing this?
Yeah.
But in some ways, I also know that like when phenomena happens, there are things that are kept from us, from our government and things, like, that when something happens, we assume we still can't explain it. We don't know, or we have like a sensor, and there's even natural phenomena here in our world that things happen and we're still trying to like figure out how to explain. So I don't know exactly what their things are, but I would assume that a sensor goes off somewhere. right? That everyone would have picked up this anomaly, energy signature, something. They wouldn't be able to explain it, but they'd be like, oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
We picked up something and we don't know what it is. I don't know. You know, and I would assume, again, we're in a world where it's been mapped, unless this is a world that they destroy that is completely like not mapped for some reason. Maybe it's like an island or a thing that we don't care about,
it's
right?
The kind of thing that they would intentionally use as an example.
Yeah, maybe it's just a rock. Maybe it wasn't even like really a planet. Maybe it was like a moon of some sort that no one's paying attention to. Sure. And they do specifically say, he's like, oh, it's gone. And the doctor, I keep thinking evil doctor in my head, but he's not a doctor, right? He's like an engineer. He's or some scientist guy, right? Yeah. He specifically mentions like it's not gone. It's been changed forever, right?
I need to talk about this line. And I think I'm not trying to go all in on this because we are not meant to know everything yet. This scene is such a tease, right? Of like, okay, we're gonna get big epic planet blowing up capable shit potentially soon. And the scientist guy that we're talking about, all of his dialogue is very like bleak, poetic, almost like and sadistic, right? Yeah. So I don't want to read into the line too hard for good, but I got to say, like, the specific line, like you're saying, is he says, oh my God, and the planet's just gone. He goes, nothing is gone. It remains, but forever changed. Mm-hmm. That could be just a sick, sadistic way of saying, yeah, I blew it up, but all the pieces are still there, right? Because you can't literally make atoms disappear. Yeah. It's not gone. They're just scattered in different ways. But
yes,
if we take his words a little more literally, and we acknowledge the fact that the source of this weapon is a literal black hole, then I wonder if, even though it looked violent to us, and I'm not saying that this isn't a form of violence, but that instead of destroying it, exploding it, that the beam is actually some sort of time travel, or the beam somehow hits its target and then forces the target to move through time, forward or backwards. I don't know where, right? Now he's just accelerated whatever that planet rock was, right? It's just moved forward 50 million years. And so it does look destroyed.
I think it's different. Right. It's similar, but different, right? Because in the sense that, like, to me, visually what looks like happens is it wasn't exploded, but in its place, like, a new star was there. Like, you get like a little nebulous thing and then like a small star, as if it was like at the beginning of its life. Sure. So it did kind of time travel in the sense that, like, it de-aged this thing, where it just became like the nebula. It deconstructed it into its smaller parts and atoms till it became the nebula that the space dust that it would eventually come together to form a planet, which is how planets and stars are formed, right? Through these kinds of things. That's what happened. Sure. That so it is timey-wimey, but in a different way. It just kind of deconstructed it. So all the elements are still there, but it's not there. Right. Is what I'm thinking.
It's there. It's just forever changed.
Yeah. Which also would lead me to believe, like, why, even if people went looking, like, what was that little energy signature? And did something happen? Did something, like, in this little area of space, and they go looking and something's still there? And they're like, oh, our sensors still say it's still there, you know, and they don't look any further, right? Sure. I don't know what their technology is. Like I said, I don't know if we have security cameras out in the midst of space, you know, that they can just like, oh, let's just look at that camera and see what happened, you know? So it's probably like they're relying on sensors and other little things that maybe don't give them all the information, that they can't actually see what happened. But even if you were to go looking, what would you see? There's some new star, you know, and there's probably millions and trillions and zillions of them that, like, it's not something worth really like looking into, which would also, so I don't know, maybe I'm just justifying why no one would notice, but it still seemed like it would ring some alarm bells, but I don't know.
Agreed. But no, I'm fascinated. Yeah. I want to know more.
It definitely is not like planet destroying, but it definitely is planet destabilizing, whatever, you know, it's extracting, which is also pretty scary, because if there were people on that thing,
Bye-bye.
Oh man. But
Yeah.
you know what? We're all dust, and to dust we shall return. So I guess that's that. But yes, scary fucking scientist, dude. Because if anything, now first of all, Dusk is much more evil than I expected him to be from first episode.
Yeah.
And but also this scientist guy, I do not trust him. I think if anything happens, this extinction event, again, as I said, is going to come from this thing. And I think it's going to come from like wielding this power that is way too much for anyone to handle. Obviously we want to stop that. We don't want the extinction event to happen, but if anything is going to happen, it's going to be because of the scientist.
We're blaming him.
I think. And Dusk and Dusk being the evil guy that he's like becoming.
Yeah.
Even though he says specifically, this is just a deterrent. It's only for him to use if pushed to it. Right.
Yeah.
But he assumes that that's going to happen. And we don't know what Dawn or Day is going to be capable of whenever he gets there. But now we do know, because we actually go back to Dawn, learn more about him. He's still doing, I guess, another dinner, more brandy, still playing. And here's where you mentioned, where Dusk is talking to Dawn, trying to placate to him, get him on his side, that kind of thing. And assuming that Dawn, when he becomes Day, might be able to hold off the ascension of whatever. But I mean, he's not, because like the ascension would have happened for one or the other. I don't know. Right. But we're finding out, as I mentioned before, that Dawn seems to be putting on game. I thought Dawn was going to be a problem. I really thought Dawn was going to be a problem after episode 1, right? That he was going to be mad, that that Day would have to still be Day, he really wants this power. He's trying to become the Day that he is, he cares about the dynasty and the empire or whatever. And now I'm realizing he's just playing Dusk. He's pretending for Demerzel. He's like, well, what if it's these things? What if, what are we, these things? He's like, should we stop this? Should we do that? He's fooling Demerzel and being like, I can be Day, I can be Empire or whatever. And he's also telling Dusk and, what's her name there? Cherry Jones. Like, no, I don't care about the people there. I only care about Empire and myself. I just there's something to worry about there or whatever.
Sure.
And then he goes back and into the privacy of his room, and he communicates with none other than Gale.
Did not see this one coming, by the way.
And so Dawn is actually just playing everyone.
Yeah.
He's actually on the side of Hunt. Does he? I thought we were not going to like this Dawn, but now I'm like, is he on our side? Or is it a double cross? Is he playing Gale? I don't think so.
I don't think we know
this
yet.
Is a big twist.
I don't think we have any way of knowing
This
yet.
is episode 2 twists. 2 twists, I think, in this episode. And 3 twists, maybe, if you think about it. Like, we're learning a lot about all of these, where Empire is, and not at all where we were set up. Does any of these characters go to where I thought they were going to go? And this especially, that now we learn that at least the past 4 years, I think since Gale has woken up to now, she has been planting seeds and trying to get the second foundation to work with Dawn.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I think you had a question for me before do you want to talk about that? About what you theorized on?
So it's a big twist, regardless of interpretation. My question, and that's just because, hey man, it's sci-fi and so many things are possible, and we've been dealing with mentalics, who are able to change their perception, right?
Sure.
Who can make themselves look like people familiar to us and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we've been pretty like finger to the pulse of everything happening with the second foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me wondered if the hologram that that Dawn is speaking to, the secret little thing that he takes out, isn't really Gale. But if that's the mule or some other force, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that he's being manipulated into thinking, right? And I have no proof of this. My only question is, I'm like, well, when every time we check in on Gale and Harry and the Foundation, we've never heard about this. We've never seen them doing any sort of outreach to Empire.
Yeah.
And now we get the scene from the perspective of Empire that actually Dawn has has a relationship with Gale.
Yeah.
But part of me was like, ooh, maybe this is the mule, right? Especially because, again, like I said, with the Mentalics, am I saying that right? But with the Mentalics, like, we know one of their abilities is to be able to appear as other folks and influence people. So I don't know. I'm not saying I'm sure that that's it, but I was so like, what the fuck? If Gale has been talking to Dawn, why aren't we hearing about that when we check in on Gale's side every time we get Foundation scenes? And cool, it might just be cool TV plot reveal, but also part of me was just like, I wonder if that is really Gale. That's what I was saying.
I think I'm using the phrase incorrectly, but a hat on a hat on this would, I think, be too much. Sure. Like a twist on a twist on this would just be too much.
Sure.
You know, I think it's already like twisty enough that they're working together.
Right.
I just don't know that we've seen this kind of power set from someone like the Mule to be able to do this. But I think it's interesting. I say a twist on a twist could be too much, but maybe that's it. Maybe if everyone's predicting or thinking, or you're showing, you know, obviously we're in a game of manipulation and whatever we show you is not all that it seems, kind of thing. And clearly something, so it's still possible.
Or
right?
third, or it's neither of the things I said. And it's Demerzel just making holograms of Gale. Right? The Demerzel knows exactly where his little toy is.
I guess we'll have to.
Just has these little fucking things pop up.
We'll
talk to him.
I'm assuming we'll know
to make him think
more
he's
in the third episode if that's true or not, right? If this is really Gale or not, because we have to get more from Gale's side to understand like how they're working. Agreed. But the fact that they're working together is very interesting, considering they haven't done so in centuries. That it's a very different kind of thing, but it also is. I think when you like bringing this up, and earlier we was talking about like, well, what all do they know? Because now we have to assume that like people know about the mule and do whatever. And I'm still under the impression that they haven't been able to or haven't shared everything that they know with Dawn, that Dawn is still being kept a little bit at arm's length, but he was told like, hey, there's going to be an event. There's going to be a thing and you're going to hear a name at some point. And when you hear this name, maybe you'll believe me and maybe you'll get a call from me, you know? And it's possible that was the whole point. This is just building off of Harry's work and his knowledge and the things he's been building. And maybe he made the connection first. Sure. It definitely didn't. He definitely didn't. It has to be Gale, I think, but because it definitely wasn't. They didn't connect to day or dusk when they were, you know? So it's like, why this Dawn? Like, when did this happen? You know? And I'm curious, like, when this happened and like how long this has been going on and how much like he actually knows. It seems to me that he just knows a name and that maybe he was unsure of, and he's been kind of like observing and looking at the math and looking at what the Demerzel says and does whatever. And then he's like trying to piece things together to the point where when he heard this name, he's like, maybe Gale was right.
Yeah, could be.
And I think, you know, I think they've had multiple conversations, and I think those multiple conversations would have been happening before the mule even came around. Do you know? So I don't know how it would be the mule, if it could be something else entirely, like a trick or something. But I don't know that. I mean, it could still be a trick in any way, because like the whole point is like we needed to get rid of Empire in order for the Dark Ages to like be lessened, right? That was the whole point of Harry Seldon's original predictions. Like, hey, we have to end the genetic dynasty or something. Well, that's not in the book, so I guess that's not a thing, right? But the whole point is that they kept control. That she is essentially appealed to Empire even though we know Empire can't be appealed to, but at some point they realize that they have to appeal to Empire again to get their help. And I don't know where this came about or why, you know?
Yeah.
So it is interesting. It is interesting now that we thought it was going to be like these 3-way war battle thing, that it's really just everyone against the mule. So that's interesting, you know?
Well, it is and it isn't. Like, let's assume my theory is not good. It's really Gale, which, if I'm being honest,
yeah,
I think 60%, 70% chance it really is just Gale.
Yeah.
It's just a strange way to learn about it, where you don't hear anything from the Foundation side until that scene. Fine. So it's Gale. But I don't think it's going to be Empire Foundation against the mule. Because as soon as Dawn starts working with Gale and Foundation,
Dusk is going to be mad.
Dusk and Demerzel are going to be fucking upset. And that's going to throw Empire into a fucking tizzy. So I think that, like, it's very unlikely that we get the team up super mashup Foundation Empire tag team against the mule. I think we'll see factions within Empire.
Yeah.
I think we'll watch the Genetic Dynasty plus Demerzel struggle for control, because Dawn Ascendant, soon to be Day, will have very different ideas of what should be done from Demerzel and Dusk, and current Day is not going to be fucking helpful in any way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I love that in doing this, we're also, because I loved how Cassian has been feeling more like Lee Pace, right?
Yeah.
In this version of this Day that he's becoming, and the you know, and I heard that in interviews, apparently he is admitted to having watched like the old seasons to be more like Lee Pace, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. Stuff. And which is really cool. But now it being like, not only has he been doing that kind of to our benefit, just as a performance thing, but it's almost like Dawn had to do that to play Day for everyone else, so that they would be. Sorry,
say that again. I'm not disagreeing. I'm trying to track.
It's both Cassian being more like Lee Pace, and it's also Dawn being more like Day, so that he can be put up the front of like, I'm going to continue the Empire in a way that everyone understands Day would be.
It feels like, you're not breaking the tradition.
Because I'm becoming exactly who you know I'm going to be.
I am fulfilling my role as promised.
Yeah, because it's very different from the other Dawns that we have seen, who have always been like, I mean, we had like one that was presented with a bad clone of him in like the first season, right? And the second season, he was like, he escaped with his lover. Like this is the most manipulative state of a Dawn of Empire has always been within the Dawn, right? Is that, you know, this is a chance we can change the genetic dynasty, and he's had to show them that like, I'm the version of Day that you want me to be, you know, that you always expect me to be, that I always become, or whatever. I'm not one of the broken ones.
Sure.
You know, turns out he is one of the broken ones.
Yeah.
To some extent, you know,
or he's not, or, you know, he's one of the fixed ones.
Yeah.
He's always one trying to get out of
again,
it.
The fact that like, because he has to, I'm assuming, and again, we don't know if stopping the extinction event he assumes maybe will still continue the genetic dynasty. I don't know, because stopping the extinction event means the ascensions still happen and whatever. But so I don't know in what way he's helping Foundation, if it's only to stop the mule, but he might still be Empire through and through, right? Yeah. That said, I did not expect that Dawn and Day would be the ones that would not give a shit about the genetic dynasty.
Yeah.
And that potentially that they would be the ones that are actually okay with ending, it sounds like, this potential line and moving on to something else. Very interesting. Very interesting. And that Dusk would be the one that is going to be
the traditionalist,
fighting against the, I guess, dying of the light, so to speak, at the end of the day, you know?
For sure.
So yeah, super interesting stuff. Great twists. Amazing episode of, absolutely nothing of 48 minutes that we've now talked about for 3 hours. So we're back, baby.
Yeah.
Sci-fi, these things, sometimes these concepts are like so big. It can just keep on. We can just keep talking about it forever.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, I think we've done enough speculation about what's coming at this point,
Oh, I doubt it.
throughout the episode.
Maybe on this episode.
Just for the end of this, just for that, because unless you have just anything more to speculate.
I'll be speculating just as much next week.
Sure. I'm sure we can bring it up. I just want to figure out, are we wrapping up this?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think I have too much else to say about this episode.
Yeah, overall,
absolutely
great episode. Great insights, great revelations, I think, through and through. I think having a lot of these revelations in the second episode means like, oh, wow, if this is already happening, what else is going to happen? I'm actually like super interested in like all the timelines or all the different groups that we have going on now,
Yeah.
I want to know how the Mallows deal with the Mule and Han and how that plays out. I want to know what's going on with Empire now, because all that is very interesting, and what's going on with Day and his whole thing. And then obviously, we've already been interested in like how the Metallics are going to come into play in the second Foundation. And we didn't hear anything about the first Foundation now at this point. We have no idea what's going to happen with that, Harry. And I'm kind of wondering if, no one cares about this first Foundation to the point where I'm like, do we even trust that Harry anymore or that Foundation? And I think that's a strange turn of events that we would be like, yeah, these guys, who cares about them anymore? And that Harry's going to be pretty just mad about the things that have been happening for the past 150 years behind his back. Because I don't think am I wrong in that the AI Harry doesn't know anything about the second Foundation as well?
He knows of its existence. He doesn't know Prime Harry's big plan.
Right.
Harry intentionally kept him blind of it. But there is a point in season 2 where he kind of realizes, oh, I've been kept in the dark because there's another Foundation. Yeah. He independently realizes there's a second Foundation. He doesn't understand what the full scope of Harry's plan is.
Right. Yeah. I'd be curious, like, if Harry, in that sense, becomes at least the AI Harry becomes a character that also is not very fond of certain events happening
or of Harry for
or
not
maybe
being
he likes it.
forthcoming.
Maybe he knows, and maybe he's like, oh, well, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. I don't fucking know. Who knows? The factions, everything's changing. All the different sides and stuff. It's like it's
getting complicated.
It's crazy. It's a game of chairs or like
seats.
That is just playing out. I'm not exactly sure what. I'm sure there's a name that we could call it. But anyway, until next time.
Anyways,
thank you for taking my unburdening this week and last week, Morgan. Thank you for so much being here. Thank you guys for listening to this long ass podcast. I know there's not many of you, but I know you're out there, and especially you guys on TikTok and whatever. I hope you guys are watching. And I, as I mentioned at the top of this episode, not many people are watching Foundation, but my hope is that we're getting people interested slowly and surely. That I think I've even had friends being like, what is this show you're talking about? And I told one friend what it was and about the books, and she immediately went and bought all 7 books in a bundle on Amazon. Yeah. And so hopefully if that's happening, my job here is done. We're evangelists for Foundation, for an Apple TV show. I mean, fuck big corporations and capitalism and all that stuff. But hey, Apple, you know what? Good job with the sci-fi.
Yeah, dude. We got to be talking about this stuff somewhere.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for having this chat with us. If you, again, notice anything you want to correct us on or change or comment on or any places we screwed up or need more insight on, especially if you've read the book, please let us know. Get in the comments, email us, codependentcontent@gmail.com.
Yeah. Your theories are just as good as ours. We want to hear them.
Absolutely. So, anyway, I'm going to go reclone myself and, start over anew because I'm really tired of this one. And then I'll see you next week. Yeah. See you guys later. Thank you for listening to Codependent Content. For updates, you can follow us on social media. And if you ever want to see a video version of this podcast, feel free to check us out on YouTube or Spotify. If you have any questions or simply want to tell us about something we missed, you can email us at codependentcontent@gmail.com. Or just leave a comment on TikTok and we'll get back to you. Links to all our accounts, where to contact us, or other ways to support will be in the description or show notes. We're glad you're here and working through your traumas with us. Remember, when you're lost in the darkness, search for the light. Live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Until the next session, cowabunga, dudes.